If you've ever felt like you're not enough, like you're constantly chasing approval, or like you keep putting yourself last, this video is for you. Because today, we're talking about something real, something powerful. The one thing that changes everything when you finally commit to it, self-love. Not the kind that just sounds good. Not the feel-good quotes you scroll past on your phone. I mean the kind of self-love that shows up in your daily choices. The kind that demands effort. The kind that doesn't depend on how you feel today, but on how committed you are to becoming the person you know you're meant to be. If you've been struggling to stay consistent, to trust yourself, or to rebuild your confidence after failure, this is the moment that can shift everything for you. Because what we're about to get into isn't fluffy. It's real, direct, and practical. You're going to learn how to prove your love to yourself through action. You're going to hear what it takes to stay focused when no one's clapping for you. You're going to understand how discipline is the highest form of self-respect and why keeping promises to yourself is the most powerful way to change your life. Most people never learn how to be on their own side. They keep giving themselves away, they keep lowering their standards, but not you, not anymore. So stay with me. This message will hit deep. It'll challenge you, but it will also give you the tools to start living stronger, standing taller, and finally leading yourself the way you always should have. Let's talk about the power of self-love and why the life you want begins the moment you start proving you're worth it. Chapter 1. Accept yourself fully without judgment every single day. You will never find peace outside yourself if you keep fighting what's inside. Most people go through life wearing masks, pretending they're okay when they're not, putting up a version of themselves they think others will like, and criticizing every flaw they see in the mirror. They get so good at judging themselves that they forget how to live. And somewhere along the way, they lose their ability to just be. To simply exist without trying to meet a standard or earn their own worth. That's the damage self-judgment causes. It kills your spirit in silence. The first act of self-love is to accept yourself fully. Not partially, not when you feel good or when things are going well. Fully, daily, even when you're broken, even when you've made mistakes, even when you've fallen short of who you wanted to be. Because who you are right now is still worthy of love. You don't have to perform for it. You don't have to prove it. You just have to see it and own it. Think about how much time you've spent trying to fix yourself, trying to erase your past, trying to match what others expect from you. All that effort just to feel a little less ashamed. But what if the real solution isn't fixing anything? It's accepting everything. What if the version of you that you keep running from is the one that needs your compassion the most? Most people confuse self-improvement with self-rejection. They think growth means not being okay with where they are, but you can love who you are while working on who you want to be. You can accept your flaws and still strive to become better. Acceptance doesn't mean giving up. It means you stop beating yourself down. It means you work from a place of love, not from fear. It means you recognize that you are already enough, and anything you build from there is a bonus, not a requirement. Self-acceptance starts with awareness. You have to become aware of the voice inside your mind. The one that criticizes you. The one that tells you you're not good enough. That voice was built from years of comparison, rejection, and unhealed pain. Maybe it came from your parents. Maybe it came from being bullied. Maybe it came from years of pressure to be perfect. But here's the truth. It's not your voice. It's a recording. It's a pattern. And it only controls you if you believe it. So today, notice it. Don't fight it. Don't argue with it. Just observe. When that voice says you're not doing enough, ask yourself, who told me that was true? When it says you should be farther by now, ask according to whose timeline? When it says you're not worthy, remind yourself that your worth is not negotiable. You were born with it. No achievement, no mistake, no opinion can change that. Accepting yourself daily is an active choice. It's not something that just happens. You have to choose it, especially when it's hard, especially when you've messed up, especially when you feel unlovable. That's when it matters most. It's easy to love yourself when everything's going well, but your true power is shown in how you treat yourself on the hard days. When you can look at yourself with soft eyes and say, I'm still worthy, that's real growth. That's resilience. That's power. Take a moment and ask yourself, what parts of me have I been rejecting? Is it your body? Your past, your emotions, your failures? Make a list. Write it down. Be honest. Then ask yourself, why have I been rejecting these parts? Where did I learn that they're not okay? You'll start to realize that so much of your self-judgment doesn't even belong to you. You're carrying beliefs you never agreed to, and it's time to let them go. Real self-love means creating space for all of you. Even the parts that are still healing. Even the parts that make you feel vulnerable. Especially those. Because those parts hold the key to your freedom. When you stop hiding your pain and start embracing it, you become unshakable. You stop needing approval. You stop fearing judgment. You stop trying to be perfect. And you start being real. One of the most powerful things you can do every morning is to say this out loud. I accept myself exactly as I am. Even if you don't fully believe it yet. Even if it feels awkward, say it anyway. Because repetition rewires your brain. Your mind believes what it hears most. And when you flood it with acceptance, you start to change the way you see yourself. You also need to treat yourself the way you treat someone you care about. Imagine a close friend came to you and said, I feel like a failure. I'm not where I thought I'd be. I hate how I look. I keep messing up. Would you tell them, yeah, you're right, you suck? No. You'd reassure them. You'd remind them of their worth. You'd speak with compassion. That's exactly how you need to speak to yourself every single day. Here's a simple practice. Every night before bed, write down 3 things you did well that day. Not big things. Even small wins. I got out of bed. I stayed calm in traffic. I drank water instead of soda. Do this for 30 days. You'll start to train your mind to see what's good instead of only what's missing. That's how you build self-trust. That's how you train your inner voice to be your ally, not your enemy. You must also understand that self-acceptance doesn't mean you'll always feel great. It means you don't run from the discomfort. It means you sit with your feelings instead of suppressing them. It means you can be sad without thinking something's wrong with you. It means you can feel angry without guilt. Emotions are not enemies. They are messengers. They show you what needs attention. And accepting yourself means welcoming all of them without judgment. It also means you stop measuring your worth based on others. Stop chasing likes. Stop comparing your path to someone else's highlight reel. The world will always try to sell you a version of yourself that looks better on paper. But real self-love is internal. No amount of praise can replace the peace that comes from being okay with yourself when nobody's watching. That peace can only be built through discipline. The discipline of accepting yourself even when it's hard. There will be days when your mind brings up every insecurity. Days when you don't feel good enough. Days when you slip back into old patterns. That's okay. What matters is how you respond. Will you attack yourself again? Or will you pause, breathe, and remind yourself that you're still growing? Will you judge yourself for falling? Or will you stand back up with love and keep going? The answer to those questions defines your relationship with yourself. Acceptance is not a finish line. It's a daily decision. It's waking up each morning and choosing to show up as you are. It's saying, even if I have work to do, I'm still worthy now. It's realizing that nothing about you needs to be perfect for you to be lovable. It's a mindset. And the more you practice it, the more natural it becomes. You are not your past. You are not your failures. You are not the voice in your head. You are the one who chooses what to believe. You are the one who decides what story to tell about yourself. So tell a story that empowers you. Tell a story that reflects your truth, not your fear. Tell a story that honors your struggle and celebrates your resilience. Start today. Choose one area of your life where you've been the hardest on yourself. Maybe it's your body, maybe it's your career, maybe it's how you feel emotionally. Pick that one area and write a new narrative. Instead of, I hate this, try, this is where I'm learning. Instead of, I'm a failure, try, I'm in progress. Instead of, I'm not enough, try, I'm still worthy. Say it. Write it. Repeat it. Live it. And when the world tries to tell you that you should be more, do more, look better, or act a certain way, pause. Come back to your center. Remind yourself that your value was never up for negotiation. You were born with it. You don't have to hustle for it. You don't have to earn it. You just have to remember it. The journey to self-love is not about fixing yourself. It's about coming home to yourself. It's about unlearning all the lies you were told. It's about dropping the armor and saying, this is who I am, and that's enough. That's the real power. And when you own it, you stop living for approval and start living in alignment. You start making choices that serve your growth. You start saying yes to what feels right. You start showing up with confidence that doesn't need to be loud to be powerful. Your life changes the moment you stop fighting yourself. Your energy returns. Your clarity improves. Your relationships become deeper. Because the way you treat yourself becomes the standard for everything else. If you treat yourself with respect, others will follow. If you accept yourself, you'll stop settling. If you love yourself, you'll stop needing to be loved by those who don't see your worth. This is where it begins. Not with another goal, not with another change, but with acceptance. Daily, relentless, honest, gentle, because you're not broken, you're becoming. And that process deserves love, not judgment. Now take that truth and carry it with you. Make it your foundation. Every day, remind yourself, I am enough as I am. I accept myself fully. I grow from love, not from shame. Say it until it becomes your truth. Say it until it echoes louder than every doubt. That's how you take your power back. That's how you build a life worth living. It begins with you. And it begins right now. Chapter 2. Speak to yourself kindly like your best friend. You wouldn't speak to someone you love with cruelty, so why do you speak to yourself that way? Most people go through life with an internal voice that quietly beats them down. It questions their worth, ridicules their failures, downplays their victories, and punishes them for every imperfection. It becomes normal, so normal that they don't even realize how much damage it's doing. This voice doesn't encourage. It criticizes. It doesn't protect. And eventually, it convinces them that they don't deserve love, joy, or peace until they become someone better. But what if the greatest shift you could ever make in your life was learning to speak to yourself with the same kindness, patience, and love you'd offer to your best friend? When a friend makes a mistake, you don't call them a failure. You remind them they're human. When they're struggling, you don't yell at them to get over it. You sit with them in silence and offer support. When they feel insecure or not enough, you remind them of everything they've overcome. That's how love speaks. That's how trust is built. And that's the kind of voice you need living inside your own mind. One that uplifts, supports, and reminds you that you are enough right now. Not one day, not later, but now. Changing how you speak to yourself doesn't mean pretending everything's perfect. It means creating a foundation of respect and compassion that allows real growth to happen. There is no transformation without inner safety. You cannot grow in an environment of fear, shame, or self-hatred. Self-kindness is not weakness. It's not indulgence. It's the soil from which real strength grows. Because only when you believe in yourself enough to fail, learn, forgive, and try again, do you build the life you were meant for. That voice in your head, it's been shaped over years. Maybe it started when you were young and someone made you feel small. Maybe it came from parents who were too hard on themselves and passed their pain to you. Maybe it came from a world that told you your worth was based on how you looked, what you achieved, or how perfectly you performed. But here's the truth. Just because that voice is familiar doesn't mean it's right. You are not the insults you've repeated to yourself. You are not the negative tape that plays when things go wrong. And you do not have to keep carrying someone else's pain in the form of self-talk. You have the power to rewrite the narrative. Every time you make a mistake, you get to choose how you respond. You can berate yourself for falling short, or you can say, that was tough, but I'm still proud of how I'm trying. Every time you look in the mirror, you can focus on everything you wish were different, or you can find something, anything to appreciate. Every time you feel overwhelmed, instead of telling yourself to toughen up or get it together, you can simply say, it's okay. You're doing the best you can. Breathe. Keep going. That inner kindness becomes your anchor. People will misunderstand you. Challenges will shake your confidence. But if you have your own back, if your inner voice becomes your ally instead of your enemy, you stop crumbling. You start rebuilding. You stand taller not because life is easier, but because your foundation is solid. You don't fall apart every time something goes wrong because you know you can trust yourself to respond with love, not judgment. This is what it means to become mentally strong, to speak to yourself in a way that builds resilience instead of shame. Not with fake positivity, not with fluffy affirmations that feel disconnected, but with real, grounded, honest self-talk that respects your journey. Yes, I messed up, but I'm learning. Yes, today was hard, but I'm proud I showed up. Yes, I'm scared, but I won't abandon myself. When you talk to yourself like your best friend, you change what you tolerate, not just from others, but from yourself. You stop letting that inner critic run wild. You start noticing the stories you tell yourself. You challenge them, you replace them with truth. And the truth is, you are not behind, you are not broken, you are not unworthy, you are becoming, you are healing, you are trying, and that is always enough. The shift starts with awareness. Listen to how you speak to yourself when you're struggling. Would you say those words to someone you're struggling? Would you say those words to someone you love? If not, why do you say them to yourself? Would you call your best friend a loser for falling short? Would you tell them they're ugly when they're feeling insecure? Would you laugh at their pain or mock their dreams? Of course not. So stop doing it to yourself. And then take it one step further. Speak love out loud. Literally. Start your day with words that build you up. I am allowed to be a work in progress and still be proud. I am choosing progress over perfection. I may not have all the answers, but I trust myself to figure it out. Speak to yourself with gentleness when you're tired, patience when you're frustrated, and encouragement when you're afraid. Watch how your energy changes. Watch how your decisions become wiser. Watch how your life becomes a reflection of the inner love you're cultivating. This kind of self-talk creates momentum. You don't just feel better emotionally, you function better physically. You sleep better. You move with purpose. You carry yourself with quiet confidence. And when others see that, they feel it too. People respond to the energy you give yourself. If you treat yourself like someone who matters, others will too. If you respect your own boundaries, others will learn to respect them. If you love yourself enough to be kind, honest, and disciplined, you will attract people who live the same way. It's not about perfection. It's about consistency. You're not always going to feel confident. You're not always going to get it right. But the goal is never to be flawless. It's to never abandon yourself, no matter how flawed you feel. Kindness doesn't mean lowering your standards. It means honoring your humanity. You can hold yourself accountable and still be gentle. You can push yourself to grow without tearing yourself apart. In fact, the most powerful growth comes from compassion, not cruelty. And when things get really hard, when you feel lost, ashamed, or completely broken, that's when your inner voice matters most. In those moments, self-kindness is not a luxury. It's a necessity. It's what keeps you moving when nothing else will. It's what reminds you, even if everything is falling apart, I am still worthy. I am still trying. I am still here. This world will test you. Life won't always be fair. People won't always be kind. But you get to choose how you respond. You get to decide what kind of voice lives inside your head. You can either be your own worst enemy or your greatest source of strength. And that choice, made day after day, is what will shape the course of your life. So speak to yourself like someone worth loving. Not just when everything's going well, but especially when it's not. When you fail, speak gently. When you succeed, celebrate fully. When you feel overwhelmed, speak calmly. When you feel unsure, speak courage into your heart. Build a relationship with yourself that's rooted in truth, love, and unwavering support. Because no one else can do this work for you. No amount of external praise can replace the power of self-respect. No partner, no job, no validation from the world can substitute for the inner voice that says, I am enough and I will keep showing up for myself. That's what freedom feels like. That's what peace feels like. That's what real self-love is built on. This is not about ego. It's about survival. You live with your mind every day. You hear your own voice more than anyone else's. But that voice can either make your life a place of torment or a sanctuary of growth. And the best part is, you get to choose. Not all at once, Not perfectly, but intentionally, daily, with every word, every thought, every quiet moment. Talk to yourself like your best friend, because that's who you need most. Someone in your corner, someone who won't give up on you, someone who believes in you through it all. Be that person and watch your entire life transform. Chapter 3, set clear personal boundaries to protect your peace. If you don't protect your peace, the world will take it from you piece by piece until you forget what calm even feels like. There comes a point in your life when you must choose between being liked by everyone and being honest with yourself. That choice isn't easy, but it becomes unavoidable the moment you realize your energy is not infinite. Your time is not limitless. Your mental clarity, your emotional well-being, your spiritual health, they're not things you can afford to hand out freely to people who don't value them. Boundaries are not walls to keep people out. They are doors that determine who gets access and under what conditions. And if you don't define those conditions clearly, people will walk in, rearrange your peace, and leave you to clean up the mess. Setting personal boundaries is not about becoming distant. It's about becoming intentional. You're not pushing people away. You're drawing a line that says, this is where I begin and this is where I end. Without that line, everything bleeds into everything else. Your work life spills into your personal time. Your phone becomes a leash. Your relationships turn into emotional battlegrounds. You start to say yes when you mean no. You make room for people who drain you, and you silence your needs so you don't rock the boat. But here's the truth. Protecting your peace is not selfish. It's necessary. And anyone who respects you will respect your boundaries too. Too many people live in quiet frustration because they're afraid to speak up. They tolerate things that exhaust them. They stretch themselves thin, trying to be everything for everyone. They over-explain, over-apologize, and overcompensate for simply having needs. But needs are not weaknesses, they are signals. They tell you when something is off, when your energy is leaking, when you're giving more than you're getting. Ignoring those signals doesn't make you stronger, it makes you resentful, bitter, and burnt out. If you find yourself constantly drained, it's time to ask why. Who's taking more than they give? What situations leave you feeling smaller, not stronger? Which conversations linger in your mind long after they're over because something about them didn't sit right? Those feelings are not inconveniences. They are your intuition telling you something needs to change. And change doesn't require confrontation, it requires clarity. That might mean limiting your availability. That might mean saying no without guilt. That might mean walking away from people who only come around when they need something. You're not responsible for managing everyone else's emotions. You're responsible for managing your own. And every time you abandon your peace to make someone else more comfortable, you teach yourself that your comfort doesn't matter. That is not love. That is self-betrayal. The strongest people are not the ones who never bend. They're the ones who know when to stop bending. They're the ones who refuse to keep compromising their sanity for the sake of false harmony. Because not every relationship is worth maintaining. Not every opportunity is worth pursuing. Not every conversation needs a response. Maturity is knowing where your energy is best invested and having the courage to act accordingly. It starts with small steps. You don't need to overhaul your life in one day. Start by noticing when you feel overwhelmed, agitated, or depleted. Pause. Ask yourself, what did I allow today that crossed the line? Then get specific. Was it a phone call you didn't want to take? A task you didn't have time for? A conversation that left you feeling misunderstood or manipulated? Identify it. Own it. Then take responsibility for changing it next time. You don't need permission to say no. You don't owe anyone an explanation for protecting your peace. And you don't need to justify your boundaries to people who benefited from you having none. If someone is offended because you've started valuing yourself more, that's not your problem. That's their discomfort with losing access to a version of you that didn't honor their own needs. The people meant for your life won't be pushed away by your growth. They'll rise with it. They'll respect your limits. They'll support your decisions even when it's inconvenient for them. Because real love, real friendship, real connection, it doesn't ask you to shrink. It encourages you to expand. Protecting your peace may look like spending time alone without feeling guilty. It may mean turning off your phone without explaining why, It may involve declining invitations, even from people you care about, because your soul needs rest. It may involve ending conversations when they become toxic, walking away from arguments that go nowhere, and choosing silence over chaos. These are not signs of weakness. They are acts of power. You are not available for anything that costs you your clarity, your joy, or your mental health. People will test your boundaries. That's inevitable. Some will try to guilt you. Others will act confused. But remember this, the only people who get upset when you enforce healthy limits are the ones who benefited from you having none. Hold the line anyway. You're not responsible for their reactions. You're only responsible for staying true to yourself. Over time, your boundaries will become second nature. You'll stop over-explaining. You'll stop apologizing for having standards. You'll stop giving away your energy to people who wouldn't lift a finger for you. And in that space, when your life is no longer cluttered with obligation and guilt, you'll find clarity. You'll have room to think, to feel, to breathe. You'll make better choices because they'll come from alignment, not pressure. You'll connect with people who see you for who you are, not just what you can do for them. And most importantly, you'll start to feel at home within yourself. Peace is not something you find. It's something you create. And boundaries are the blueprint. They are the architecture of a life that respects itself. They are not about control. They are about alignment. When you know what you stand for, what you value, and what you will no longer tolerate, your life begins to take shape in a way that reflects your worth. But don't wait for burnout to draw the line. Don't wait until you're emotionally exhausted or spiritually numb. Start now. Start before things spiral. Start by saying, I don't have the capacity for this today. Start by choosing rest over performance. Start by being honest when something feels wrong. Your peace is sacred. Treat it that way. And understand this, boundaries are not one-time decisions. They are daily practices. You will be tested. You will feel tempted to fall back into old patterns. But with every no that protects your spirit, you reinforce your self-respect. With every limit you enforce, you remind yourself that you matter. You are not here to be everything to everyone. You are here to be true to yourself. And the people who truly love you will understand that. They won't guilt you. They won't manipulate you. They will support your boundaries because they want the best for you. And if someone walks away because you've decided to protect your energy, that's a sign. Not of your failure, but of your growth. So protect your peace like your life depends on it. Because in many ways it does. Your clarity, your energy, your purpose, they all depend on you having the courage to say, this is my line and I won't cross it anymore. Your freedom lies in that choice. Your future begins with that commitment. And your most powerful self emerges the moment you stop sacrificing your peace for temporary approval. This is your life. You don't owe anyone access to you just because they ask. You don't have to tolerate chaos just to keep the peace. You don't have to keep showing up for people who disappear when you need them most. You have the right to be selective. You have the right to protect your mind, your heart, your energy, and your time. And the more you do, the more you'll realize peace isn't something you find out there. It's something you preserve in here. And you are worth protecting, always. Chapter 4, Forgive yourself completely and release your past pain. You will never step into your future if you keep punishing yourself for a past you cannot change. There comes a time in every life where the weight of regret becomes too heavy to carry. A moment where the echoes of old decisions, missed chances, broken promises, and the pain of who you used to be start to blur your ability to see who you are now. The truth is, you've suffered long enough. You've played that moment over in your head far too many times. You've criticized yourself, judged yourself, and held yourself hostage to memories that no longer serve you. But there is no freedom in self-condemnation. There is no healing in shame. If you truly want to grow, if you genuinely want to feel peace, you have to give yourself the one thing you've been withholding: full, honest, and unconditional forgiveness. You are not the mistakes you made. You are not the version of yourself that didn't know better. You are not defined by a single season, a bad choice, or a painful experience. You are the one who lived through it. You are the one who kept going. You are the one who stayed when it would have been easier to run. The fact that you're still here, still trying, still seeking, still improving, that says everything about your strength. But you can't keep punishing yourself for not knowing what you didn't know back then. The past is over. It's not meant to be relived. It's meant to be learned from, honored, and released. Holding on to guilt doesn't make you more responsible. It makes you more stuck. It doesn't fix anything. It doesn't correct anything. It just quietly erodes your confidence and robs you of your joy. It convinces you that because you failed once, you'll always fail. That because you were broken before, you're not worthy of being whole. But that voice in your head isn't truth. It's a wound. And wounds don't heal by being ignored or replayed. They heal when they're acknowledged and treated with compassion. You can't move forward while gripping pain like it's your identity. You have to let it go piece by piece, moment by moment. Forgiving yourself doesn't mean you approve of what happened. It doesn't mean you deny it or excuse it. It simply means you no longer want to be held back by it. It means you've decided that your growth matters more than your guilt, that your future is more valuable than your punishment, that you will no longer let yesterday control who you can be today. That decision is powerful. That decision is how transformation begins. Think of all the energy you've spent dwelling, replaying, wishing things had gone differently. What could you do with that energy if you chose to redirect it? What if instead of asking, "Why did I do that?" you asked, "What can I learn from it?" What if instead of telling yourself you should have been stronger, smarter, better, you said, "I was doing the best I could with what I had"? Because the truth is, you were. And now you have more wisdom, more perspective, more awareness. That's not something to be ashamed of. That's something to be proud of. You are evolving. But evolution requires grace. Growth requires gentleness. You can't expect yourself to change while constantly beating yourself up for who you used to be. It's like trying to climb a mountain while dragging a boulder of shame behind you. Eventually, you'll be too exhausted to keep going. Let it go. Let the heaviness fall away. You've carried it far enough. And don't wait for someone else to give you permission to forgive yourself. That's your job. Not everyone will understand your journey. Not everyone will know what it took for you to get here. But you do. You remember the nights you couldn't sleep, the days you felt lost, the moments you nearly gave up. That's your proof that you've changed. You're not in the same place anymore. So stop revisiting it like you still belong there. Speak to yourself like you would someone you love. Would you keep reminding your friend of their worst moment? Would you keep dragging them back into their mistakes every time they tried to move forward? Or would you remind them that they deserve to heal, to grow, to rise? You deserve the same compassion, the same kindness, the same chance to start over. Yes, you've made mistakes. So has everyone. Yes, you've hurt people, and maybe you're still repairing the damage. But carrying guilt doesn't fix what's broken. Taking responsibility does, making amends does, choosing different patterns going forward does. But none of that is possible if you're stuck in self-hatred. You can't pour water into the cracks of your life while blaming yourself for every fracture. You need clarity. You need forgiveness. And most importantly, you need to believe that you're still worthy of good things. Forgiveness is a decision, not a feeling. You won't always feel ready. You won't always feel like you deserve it. But you make the choice anyway. You say to yourself, "I forgive you," for not knowing, for falling short, for the things you didn't say, for the times you acted out of fear, for the pain you caused while you were hurting, for being human. I forgive you. And every time the shame returns, you remind yourself of that choice again and again until the weight starts to lift. You don't have to carry everything forever. You don't have to define yourself by every scar. You are allowed to put things down. You are allowed to change your story. You are allowed to be more than your past. That is your right. That is your responsibility to yourself, to your future, to the people who need the version of you that's healed and whole, not the one stuck in old chapters. Sometimes healing means having hard conversations with yourself, not to shame yourself, but to set yourself free. You say, "Yes, I made that mistake, but that mistake is not who I am. It was a moment, a lesson, and I've grown, I've learned, I've evolved. and now I choose to move forward. There will always be people who try to remind you of who you used to be. That's their problem, not yours. Let them talk. You don't need their validation. You don't need their approval. The only voice that truly matters is the one inside you. And if that voice has been harsh, if it's been cold or critical or unforgiving, it's time to change it. Because the story you tell yourself becomes the life you live. And if you want peace, you have to speak peace. You have to believe you deserve it. You are not a failure. You are not broken. You are not beyond repair. You are in the process of becoming. That process is messy. It's painful. It's confusing. But it's also beautiful. Because every time you forgive yourself, you give yourself permission to become someone new, someone lighter, someone freer, someone who's no longer defined by pain, but shaped by it. Your healing doesn't happen all at once. It's not a single moment, it's a practice. Some days you'll feel strong. Other days you'll feel like you're starting over. That's okay. Keep going. Keep choosing forgiveness. Keep choosing compassion. Keep choosing growth. You're not behind. You're not lost. You're exactly where you need to be. Don't rush the process. Trust it and trust yourself. You are doing better than you think. You've come further than you realize. And there is so much life ahead of you waiting to be lived, without the weight of shame, without the chains of regret, without the pain of the past defining your every move. Let yourself be free. You don't have to wait for some perfect day or external sign. Decide right now that you are worthy of your own forgiveness, that you are allowed to be both a work in progress and a masterpiece, that your past doesn't cancel your future, that your healing is your power, so let the old pain go. Not because it didn't matter, but because you matter more. Let it go, not to forget, but to be free. Let it go, so you can finally breathe without guilt, move without fear, and live without carrying a past that no longer belongs in your present. The greatest act of strength is not holding on, it's letting go. And today, you take that step. Today, you choose peace. Today, you choose yourself. Chapter 5, Build daily habits that show you matter. If you want to feel like you matter, start proving it to yourself through your daily actions, because real self-worth is built in the small choices you make when no one is watching. Every day, you send messages to your mind. You tell yourself who you are, what you deserve, and how valuable you believe your life is, not just with words, but with what you choose to do. The habits you keep are not random routines, they are signals. Every time you wake up and choose discipline over distraction, you send yourself a message: I am important. When you fuel your body with intention, when you speak to yourself with care, when you carve out time for growth and clarity, you reinforce the truth that your life matters. And if you don't feel like you matter right now, it's not because you aren't worthy, it's because somewhere along the way, your habits started to reflect neglect instead of self-respect. You don't change your life by talking about it. You change your life by behaving like someone who knows they're worthy of a better one. If you want to feel more confident, stop waiting for confidence to show up. Start showing up for yourself. Start by keeping the promises you make to yourself. When you say you're going to get up early, follow through. When you say you're going to move your body, keep that commitment. When you say you're going to stay focused, stop making excuses and just do it. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, no matter how small, you build trust. And when you trust yourself, you walk differently. You speak with more certainty. You stop begging the world to validate you because you've already validated yourself through your own consistency. The real work is never glamorous. It's waking up and doing what's necessary even when it's inconvenient. It's choosing structure over chaos, intention over impulse. It's staying disciplined when it would be easier to fall back into old cycles. But when you start building habits that reflect your worth, everything begins to shift. You don't have to scream for respect when you carry yourself like someone who already has it. You don't have to chase confidence when you build it brick by brick, morning by morning, hour by hour, through your repeated decisions. Look at how you're treating yourself right now. If someone else followed you around and mimicked your routines, would they believe they matter? Would they believe their time is valuable? Would they believe their health, mindset, and dreams deserve attention? Because how you treat your time is how you treat your life. You don't find clarity in chaos. You don't find peace in patterns that drain you. If your life feels like it's spiraling, it's probably because your habits are not aligned with who you want to become. Start by creating structure around your mornings. How you start your day matters. If you reach for your phone before you reach for your mind, you're already placing other people's priorities before your own. Instead, wake up with purpose. Take 5 minutes to breathe, to reflect, to remind yourself why you're doing this. Then move your body, not to chase an image, but to honor the energy that will carry you through the day. Fuel yourself, not to restrict, but to provide. These are not dramatic changes, they are declarations. Every simple action adds weight to your self-worth. And if you feel resistance, good. That means you're touching a part of yourself that needs attention. Resistance is not a reason to stop, it's a reason to keep going. It means you're breaking away from comfort and moving toward change. Change is always uncomfortable at first, but so is staying stuck. The difference is only one of them leads you forward. Daily habits are not about perfection. They are about proof. When you show up each day with intention, you are proving to yourself that you are someone who deserves better. Better health, better focus, better peace. You begin to embody the identity of someone who matters, and eventually, that identity becomes unshakable. It becomes who you are, not who you're trying to be. Don't underestimate the power of small habits. It's not the massive changes that define your life. It's the tiny, consistent actions that add up when no one is clapping, when no one is watching, when it's just you versus your excuses. That's where confidence is born. That's where self-respect is forged. That's where inner peace is protected. Some days you won't feel motivated. Do it anyway. Some days your mind will convince you to skip, to delay, to let it slide. Don't. That's the exact moment where transformation is hiding. Get up, show up, and remind yourself that discipline is how you prove love to your future self. Don't let your emotions run your life. Let your commitment do that. Your future will be built on the habits you create right now, not the hopes you carry in your head. You have the power to redefine how you see yourself. But it doesn't happen in theory. It happens in repetition. Show yourself you matter by prioritizing your mental space. Limit your exposure to things that drain you. Choose what you consume because what you take in becomes what you think, and what you think becomes how you act. Show yourself you matter by setting boundaries around your energy. You don't need to say yes to everything. Protect your time like it's sacred because it is. And if you fall off track, don't collapse. Don't let one bad day turn into a cycle. You are not your off days. You're not defined by moments of weakness. You're defined by what you do next. Pick yourself up and get back to your habits, not because you're trying to be perfect, but because you refuse to abandon yourself. That's what building a strong foundation looks like. That's how you earn your own respect. Not by never falling, but by refusing to stay down. Your life is a reflection of your standards, and your standards are reinforced by your daily decisions. So raise them. Start acting like your time, your energy, your goals are worth protecting. When you walk with that kind of intention, everything around you starts to respond differently. People treat you how you treat yourself. And when your habits reflect self-respect, you stop settling for less in every area of your life. If you feel lost, confused, stuck, start with one habit. One action that you know you've been avoiding. Do it first thing in the morning. Do it when it's hardest. Do it before you talk yourself out of it, and then do it again the next day. Build momentum slowly. Stack wins. Let those wins remind you of your strength. Let those small victories remind you that you are capable of more than you've been living. Your life won't transform overnight, but it will transform with consistency, and the longer you stay consistent, the more undeniable your growth becomes. You don't need to chase motivation. Just show up. The motivation will find you in the discipline. The confidence will show up after the repetition. The peace will rise once your actions align with your values. You've waited long enough to feel better. Now it's time to act better. To decide that your life is too valuable to be wasted in cycles that bring you down. Every day is a vote for the future you want. And the habits you repeat are the ballot. So ask yourself, are my habits casting votes for the life I want to live, or the one I'm trying to leave behind? Choose better. Start small, stay consistent. And remind yourself daily, I matter and I will live like it. Chapter 6, celebrate small wins to remind yourself you're growing. You don't need to wait for a massive breakthrough to feel proud of yourself. Every small win is proof that you are moving, building, and becoming who you were meant to be. Most people miss their own growth because they're too busy comparing their journey to someone else's highlight reel. They wait for a big moment, a trophy, a title, or a round of applause to finally feel good about themselves. But the truth is, real transformation doesn't show up all at once. It shows up in small, quiet moments. It's in the days you get out of bed, even when your mind is heavy. It's in the minutes you spend journaling your thoughts instead of ignoring them. It's in the times you speak up when your old self would have stayed silent. These little choices may not look like much to the outside world, but inside, they're everything. They're the building blocks of self-respect. They're how you prove to yourself that you're changing, that you're growing, that you're no longer who you used to be. You don't have to wait until the end of the journey to celebrate who you're becoming. In fact, if you do, you'll miss the entire purpose of growth. Because growth isn't just the final result, it's the process of showing up for yourself again and again. It's the quiet effort, an invisible struggle, the small win that no one notices but you. And when you learn to see those moments and honor them, something shifts in your mindset. You stop rushing, you stop doubting. You start respecting the process because you finally see that every step counts. The problem is, most people only recognize progress when it's dramatic. If it doesn't come with a transformation photo, a new title, a major shift, they don't count it. But progress isn't always loud. Sometimes it's just going a day without criticizing yourself. Sometimes it's choosing a better thought when your mind wants to spiral. Sometimes it's simply not quitting. That's the kind of growth that matters most. Because that kind of growth lasts. It's rooted. It's not driven by attention. It's driven by self-awareness. And when you build from that place, you don't need constant validation. You become your own source of motivation. Celebrating small wins isn't about ego. It's about acknowledgement. It's about being present enough to notice the progress you used to pray for. Think about it. There was a time when you would have been overwhelmed by the exact situation you handled with calm today. There was a time when your inner critic would have crushed you, but now you pause, breathe, and respond with kindness. There was a time when your whole world felt like chaos, but now you've built routines, tools, and habits that help you hold steady. That's growth. That's not luck. That's earned. And if you don't stop to recognize it, you'll convince yourself you're stuck when you're actually evolving. When you celebrate small wins, you rewire your brain to look for progress instead of failure. You train yourself to see what's working instead of fixating on what's missing. And the more you do that, the more motivated you become to keep going. It's like fuel. Every time you acknowledge even the smallest improvement, you send yourself a signal, I'm proud of me. I'm on the right path. I'm not perfect, but I'm better than I was. That energy builds momentum. That belief makes discipline easier. That recognition makes effort feel worth it. Growth doesn't need to feel like a race. It needs to feel like a commitment, a daily decision to move forward, no matter how slow, no matter how messy. Some days your progress will be visible. Other days it will be internal. But both matter. Both count. Both deserve your acknowledgement. So when you do something hard, celebrate. When you face a fear, even if it's small, give yourself credit. When you try something new, when you finish something you started, when you bounce back after a setback, don't let those moments slip by unnoticed. Not when everything is perfect, but while everything is still messy and uncertain. Because your growth isn't defined by how smooth the path is. It's defined by your decision to keep walking it. If you're showing up, you're winning. If you're trying, you're succeeding. If you're learning, you're growing. That's worth celebrating. That's worth recognizing. That's how you stay in the game. Some people will never see your progress, and that's okay. This journey isn't for their approval. It's for your transformation. You don't need their validation when you're giving it to yourself daily. You don't need to prove anything when you're already proving everything through your actions. Keep your focus inward. Keep your rewards internal. When you master the habit of acknowledging your own growth, you become unstoppable because nothing and no one can take that away from you. You have to stop downplaying your effort. Stop brushing off your progress like it's not enough. Every time you push yourself when it's easier to stay the same, you've already won. Every time you shift your mindset from fear to courage, from doubt to belief, you're already rewriting your future. You can't control how fast everything changes, but you can control how you respond to the little shifts. Start treating them like victories, because they are. You don't climb a mountain in one step. You take thousands of small ones. And each one matters. Each one gets you closer. Each one changes you. The mistake people make is waiting until they reach the top to feel proud. But the power isn't just in reaching the summit. It's in realizing how far you've come from where you started. It's in noticing that you no longer give up when things get hard. That you no longer let fear control your actions. That you no longer believe the lies you used to tell yourself. That's the real win. That's the kind of growth that stays with you. When you track your small wins, you give yourself perspective. You see that you're not stuck, you're slowly rising. You see that even on your worst days, you've still made progress. You see that your old patterns are no longer controlling you. That awareness creates power. It builds resilience. It makes you less likely to quit when things feel slow because you know it's all adding up. No step forward is ever wasted. Even the smallest one carries weight. Even the quietest win deserves recognition. You don't need a standing ovation to know you're improving. You just need to be honest with yourself. Ask yourself, what did I do today that I would have avoided a month ago? What did I handle better this week than I did last week? What thought did I challenge? What emotion did I regulate? What boundary did I hold? These are the signs of growth. These are the wins worth celebrating. So stop waiting. Stop thinking you need to earn celebration. Start giving yourself credit right now. Not because you're done growing, but because you're finally aware of how much you've already grown. You're not who you used to be. You've survived storms that once terrified you. You've done things you thought were impossible. You've become more self-aware, more intentional, more in control. And if you keep acknowledging those shifts, more will follow. You'll start to believe in your ability to keep going even when it's hard. You'll start to feel proud, not just of what you've achieved, but of who you've become through the process. This is how you build confidence that lasts. Not by reaching a goal, but by honoring the journey that gets you there. One step, one choice, one small win at a time. Don't rush it. Don't resent it. Just recognize it. And remind yourself every single day, I'm growing, I'm moving, I'm becoming, and that alone is worth celebrating. Chapter 7, focus only on your progress, not others' paths. Your life will never move forward if your eyes are always looking sideways. Every time you compare your journey to someone else's, you weaken your own power. You begin to question your pace, your worth, and your path, not because it's wrong, but because you've allowed outside noise to distort your inner truth. You lose your focus. You lose your momentum. You trade your clarity for confusion, all because you think their progress means you're falling behind. But that's a lie. You're not falling behind, you're just looking in the wrong direction. Their story has nothing to do with your purpose. Their timeline is not your deadline. Their success does not invalidate your growth. It's time to bring your attention back home, to your own progress, to your own wins, to your own path. No one else is living your life. No one else has your past, your pain, your dreams, your battles. So why would you expect your path to look like anyone else's? You have different lessons, different timing, different callings. The only race you're in is with the person you used to be. That's it. That's the only comparison that matters. Are you more focused than you were yesterday? Are you thinking better thoughts? Are you making stronger decisions? That's progress, and that's all that deserves your energy. When you're focused on someone else's path, you rob yourself of the power to grow in your own. You spend hours scrolling through their highlights, feeding your mind with doubts and distractions. You start chasing goals that were never meant for you. You adopt habits that don't match your values. You lose connection with your own instincts, your own clarity. That's not ambition, it's misalignment. And it's why so many people feel stuck. They're moving, but they're not moving forward. They're reacting, not building, because their focus is scattered. Their mind is elsewhere. Their goals are borrowed, not rooted. Progress requires presence. You can't improve a life you're not deeply connected to. You can't grow something you keep comparing to someone else's garden. You've got to shut the noise off. You've got to go within. Ask yourself what matters to me, not to them, not to the world, but to me. What's one area of my life I want to strengthen? What's one decision I can make that honors my growth? The moment you start asking yourself better questions, your direction becomes clear. And when your direction is clear, your confidence rises. Because now you're building on truth, not on comparison, not on pressure, not on ego. People move at different speeds. Life doesn't reward you for rushing, it rewards you for staying aligned. Some will rise faster than you. Some will take bigger leaps. Some will reach milestones before you do. That doesn't mean you're failing. That doesn't mean you're off track. It simply means their timing is different. And that's okay. You don't need to keep up, you need to keep going. Stay consistent, stay locked in, stay committed to your own evolution. Because when you do, you become untouchable. You become the kind of person who isn't shaken by what others are doing. You stay grounded, you stay sharp, you move with purpose. You don't need to prove anything to anyone. Not on social media, not in conversation, not through status. Your growth is not a performance, it's a personal promise. A quiet commitment to becoming who you were born to be. That's not always visible, that's not always loud, but it's real. And it matters more than anything else. You don't need external applause when you're building internal strength. You don't need their validation when you have your own. Keep your eyes on your steps. Keep your mind on your mission. Let everyone else chase trends, you chase transformation. There is no peace in comparison. There is only pressure, anxiety, doubt. You start feeling like nothing you do is enough. Like you're always 10 steps behind. Like your progress is invisible. But it's not. You're just not looking at it. You're looking at their wins, their moves, their results. Meanwhile, your own growth is waiting to be acknowledged. You're becoming more resilient, more aware, more consistent. But you can't see that if your focus is always on what someone else is doing. It's time to return to your lane, to your pace, to your purpose. And when you do, you'll start noticing all the things you used to miss. You'll see how far you've come. You'll realize you've outgrown thoughts and habits that once held you back. You'll appreciate the subtle changes, the way you breathe through stress, the way you handle setbacks, the way you choose discipline over distraction. That's what matters. That's real progress. And once you learn to see it, your whole mindset shifts. You stop craving the approval of others. You stop chasing timelines that don't belong to you. You become content not because you're settling, but because you finally see your growth with clarity. Your path is yours for a reason. You were never meant to follow someone else's script. You were meant to write your own, step by step, day by day, thought by thought. No one can take that from you, and no one can walk it for you. So walk it boldly. Walk it honestly. Walk it with the kind of focus that scares people because you're no longer distracted. You're locked in. And that kind of energy is rare. That kind of energy creates results most people only dream about. This is how you protect your peace. By protecting your focus. By choosing presence over pressure. By looking in the mirror instead of through the window. You don't need to keep up. You don't need to catch up. You need to show up for yourself, for your vision, for your future. And the only way to do that is to stop looking left and right and start moving straight ahead. Every time you make a choice that honors your own journey, you're making progress. Every time you say no to distractions and yes to your growth, you're evolving. Every time you choose to be proud of your small steps instead of jealous of someone else's big ones, you're winning. That's the mindset that keeps you steady. That's the mindset that builds a life rooted in peace, not pressure. So check your focus, check your thoughts. Where is your energy going? What are you feeding your mind? Who are you comparing yourself to and why? Every time you drift, pull yourself back. Every time you start questioning your path, remind yourself why you chose it. You don't owe anyone an explanation. You don't need to defend your pace. You just need to stay consistent. That's what changes everything. Your life is not a competition, it's a creation. And you are the only one responsible for building it. Start building what matters to you. Your peace depends on it. Your progress depends on it. Your future depends on it. You're not behind. You're just becoming. You're not stuck. You're just learning. You're not slow. You're just building something solid. Don't let someone else's pace convince you to quit. Don't let someone else's progress distract you from your own. Stay focused, stay grounded, stay hungry. You've come too far to lose sight of yourself now. Keep growing, keep evolving, keep proving to yourself that you don't need to follow the crowd to find your greatness. It's already in you. And as long as you keep your focus where it belongs, nothing can stop you from becoming everything you were meant to be. Chapter 8. Prioritize your mental health in every decision. Your peace of mind is worth more than any achievement, any approval, or any temporary comfort. So protect it like your life depends on it, because it does. You live in a world that constantly tries to pull you in every direction except inward. A world that praises productivity but ignores burnout. A world that rewards image over internal well-being. A world that pressures you to say yes, even when your soul is screaming no. And if you're not careful, you trade your mental health for things that leave you empty. That's why you need to start choosing differently. You need to start choosing yourself every day, in every decision, with no guilt and no apology. Your mental health is not just a side issue, it's the core. If your mind is unstable, nothing in your life will feel right. You'll second-guess your choices. You'll sabotage your momentum. You'll attract the wrong situations because you're operating from a place of chaos instead of clarity. That's why every decision you make, every habit you build, every relationship you maintain, every commitment you take on must be filtered through one question. Does this protect my mental peace or does it destroy it? So many people are silently struggling because they keep betraying themselves in the name of being liked. They overextend. They suppress their truth to keep things peaceful, when deep down they're drowning. They keep giving to people who don't give back. They stay in environments that drain their spirit. They keep saying I'm fine when they're breaking inside. That's not strength, that's neglect. And the more you abandon your own needs, the more your mental health suffers. Slowly, quietly. Until one day, you feel like a stranger in your own life. You can't wait until you're falling apart to start caring for your mind. You need to build protection now. You need boundaries. You need rest. You need to say no without guilt. You need to listen to your inner signals instead of dismissing them. Your anxiety is trying to tell you something. Your exhaustion is a warning, not a weakness. Your irritation is a red flag, not a flaw. But you have to listen. You have to stop numbing and start noticing. Because every time you ignore your mental well-being, you're teaching yourself that your peace doesn't matter, and it does. Make decisions that feel right deep in your body, not just decisions that make sense on paper. Listen when something feels off. Don't silence your inner voice just because it makes others uncomfortable. If a situation triggers your anxiety every time, pay attention. If a person drains your energy every time you interact with them, take note. You don't need to justify your discomfort. You just need to honor it. Your nervous system doesn't lie. Your body knows before your mind does. And your job is to protect it, not push through it. Start building a life that nourishes your mental clarity. Create a space that feels safe and calming. Fill your environment with reminders of what grounds you. Stop giving your time to people who create mental noise. Stop chasing validation from people who don't see you. Your life is not a stage, it's a sanctuary. It's where you heal, where you grow, where you come home yourself. Don't let the world make it a battlefield. You weren't born to be at war with your own mind. Choosing your mental health doesn't mean you're weak. It means you're wise. It means you understand that your mind is the control center of your entire life. If it breaks down, nothing else can function. You can't love fully. You can't focus clearly. You can't make strong decisions. You can't show up with strength. That's why protecting your mental state isn't selfish, it's strategic. When you're mentally clear, you make better moves, you set better goals, you walk away from what's not right. You become powerful because you're no longer reactive, you're intentional. Pay attention to the small decisions. What you eat, how you speak to yourself, what you consume online, who you spend your mornings with, what you tolerate in conversation. These aren't minor things, they're daily choices that either preserve your peace or destroy it. Every decision either builds your mental strength or breaks it down. Choose wisely. Every time you pick your peace, you reinforce your self-worth. Every time you say no to something that doesn't align, you say yes to your clarity. That adds up, and over time, it transforms everything. People will not always understand your boundaries. They'll question your distance. They'll take your silence personally. They'll say you've changed, and they're right. You have changed. You've stopped tolerating mental chaos. You've stopped putting yourself last. You've stopped pretending you're okay just to keep the peace. You're not interested in pleasing people at the cost of your sanity, and you don't owe anyone an explanation for that. Protecting your mind is not a trend, it's a lifestyle, a daily decision, a quiet revolution, and it starts with you. Don't wait for a breakdown to realize the cost of overextending yourself. Don't wait for burnout to learn the value of rest. Don't wait for emotional collapse to understand the importance of saying no. Choose now. Choose to live in a way that feels good on the inside, not just looks good on the outside. Your mental peace is not negotiable. It's your foundation. You deserve to wake up without dread. You deserve to live without the constant pressure of pretending. You deserve to feel safe in your own mind. And you don't need permission to make that your priority. Make room in your life for stillness, for solitude, for reflection. Those quiet moments are not wasted time, they're sacred. That's when you hear your truth. That's when you return to yourself. In a world that's constantly yelling, those moments of silence are where your real power lies. You can't build a life that serves your spirit if you never pause to check in with yourself. You can't grow if you don't rest. You can't create if you're always in survival mode. Your mind needs space. Give it that. Make space for breath. Make space for peace. Make space for yourself. You are not a machine. You're a human being with emotions, with limits, with needs. Stop measuring your worth by how much you can endure. Start measuring it by how well you protect your inner world. Your boundaries are a sign of maturity, not arrogance. Your rest is a sign of strength, not laziness. Your peace is a priority, not an afterthought. You don't need to keep proving yourself to people who don't care about your well-being. Prove to yourself that you're worthy of peace. Show yourself that your needs matter, that your mind matters. Every strong decision you make to protect your mental space is a declaration of self-respect. When you walk away from chaos, when you step back from draining situations, when you cancel things that exhaust you, you're saying, I choose me. That's not weakness. That's wisdom. That's strength. That's leadership. Because only people who truly value themselves are willing to disappoint others in order to protect their own peace. So let this be the moment you shift from people-pleasing to self-honoring, from running on empty to creating space to refuel, from overthinking to quiet focus, from emotional chaos to grounded calm. Let your life become a reflection of your healing, not your hurting. You don't owe the world your energy, you owe it to yourself first. When you're mentally well, everything you touch becomes better. Your work improves. Your relationships deepen. Your joy returns. Your purpose sharpens. This is the kind of power that comes from within. Not from status, not from noise, but from peace, from clarity, from daily decisions rooted in respect for your own mind. And that's what it means to truly live. Not just survive, not just cope, but live with intention, with awareness, and with unwavering respect for your mental health. That's how you win. Every single day. By choosing peace, by choosing clarity, by choosing you. Chapter 9, treat your body with care through daily choices. Your body is the vehicle that carries you through this life, and how you treat it today will determine how far you can go tomorrow. You can't build a powerful life on top of a neglected body. You can't chase your goals, show up for your dreams, or fight through adversity with a weak foundation. This body of yours is your first home. It's not just skin and muscle, it's your instrument for impact, for presence, for energy. And the truth is, the way you treat it daily says everything about how much you value yourself. Too many people disconnect from their bodies until something breaks. They ignore the signals. They numb the pain. They push through fatigue like it's noble. But eventually, the body keeps score, and it will slow you down if you don't slow down on your own. Taking care of your physical self is not vanity, it's responsibility. Because when you treat your body with respect, you're saying, I care about this life. I care about showing up strong. I care about lasting long enough to see my potential fully lived out. It starts with the smallest daily choices. The food you eat, the water you drink, the sleep you allow, the movement you give your body. None of these things require perfection. They require intention. Nobody's asking you to train like an athlete or eat like a monk. What matters is that you're not treating your body like an afterthought. You're not sacrificing your physical health for temporary convenience. Because every time you do, you're paying a price. It might not show up today, but over time, that debt builds up, and one day it demands everything from you. Your energy is sacred. It fuels your focus. It drives your discipline. It supports your mindset. And if your body is breaking down, your mind and spirit will eventually follow. That's why it's not just about fitness or image. It's about function. It's about freedom. It's about knowing you have the strength and stamina to push through your purpose. You cannot lead your life with clarity if your body is constantly in distress. You can't feel grounded if you're always inflamed, always in pain, always tired. This is not about shame. It's about ownership. It's about taking back control. You may not have treated your body well in the past, but you can start now. Every day is a chance to renew your commitment. Every choice is a chance to send a message to yourself. I matter. My body matters. My well-being is a priority. You don't need to overhaul your life overnight. You just need to decide that your health is non-negotiable moving forward. Because without it, nothing else can last. You don't need more motivation. You need a standard. A personal baseline of care that you refuse to drop below. You brush your teeth every day because it's a habit. That's what treating your body right should become, a habit. Something that's just part of who you are now. You hydrate because you respect your organs. You sleep because you respect your brain. You move because you respect your muscles. You eat whole foods because you respect your digestion. These are not burdens. These are acts of self-loyalty. Your body is always communicating. That ache, it's telling you to move. That fatigue, it's asking for rest. That tension, it's screaming for release. But are you listening, or are you too distracted to even notice? Your body doesn't need punishment, it needs partnership. It doesn't need perfection, it needs patience. You don't need to crush it in the gym every day, but you do need to move. You don't need to follow a strict diet, but you do need to stop abusing food to numb your emotions. Treat your body like it's your teammate, not your enemy. Discipline is love. And when you make healthy choices consistently, you are showing deep love for yourself. You are saying, I deserve to feel good. Because when your body feels good, everything feels better. Your mind sharpens, your emotions stabilize, your confidence rises. That glow people see, it's not just skin, it's vitality. It's the result of self-respect in motion, and it becomes unshakable over time. When you treat your body well, you walk through life differently. You walk in your power. You walk with presence. Stop waiting for a wake-up call to make a change. Don't let a doctor's warning be the moment you finally prioritize your health. Don't let exhaustion force you into rest. Don't wait until you've hit the wall. Start now. Start with the next meal, the next breath, the next choice. Build a body that supports the life you want. Build a level of health that becomes a force behind your goals, not a barrier. Respect your limits, but also push your potential. You're capable of far more than you think. Your body can adapt. It can grow. It can become a source of pride. But you must give it what it needs. Not just occasionally, daily. Because consistency compounds. A walk every morning, a home-cooked meal every night, a few stretches before bed. It adds up. It tells your nervous system, I'm safe, I'm cared for. That internal message rewires your entire state. You stop surviving and you start thriving. You won't always feel like it. That's normal. But you do it anyway because you've made a vow to yourself. I won't neglect my body for anyone, not for pressure, not for distractions, not for anyone else's comfort. That's self-respect. That's personal power. When you stop outsourcing your well-being to convenience and start taking radical responsibility for your physical health, everything else in your life begins to rise. And this isn't just about you. When you take care of your body, you lead by example. You show your family, your friends, your community what real strength looks like. You model self-respect in action. You become someone others look up to, not just for how you look, but for how you live. For your energy, your presence, your clarity, your commitment. You don't need fancy equipment or a perfect routine. You need commitment. You need intention. You need to be done with neglect. You need to be sick of being tired. You need to want more for yourself. Your body is not broken. It's waiting for your leadership. It's ready to heal, ready to grow, ready to support your highest potential, but it needs your participation. Treat your body like the treasure it is, like the miracle it is. It breathes for you. It heals cuts without your help. It carries you no matter what you've put it through. It deserves your care. It deserves your gratitude, not when you reach some goal weight, not when you look a certain way, but now, today, as it is, with the bruises, with the fatigue, with the extra weight, with the tension. You can still choose care. You can still give it what it needs. And the more you do, the more it gives back to you. Fuel your body with foods that nourish, not deplete. Hydrate like it's your job. Sleep like it's your power source. Move with love, not punishment. Rest when needed. Breathe deeply. Stretch gently. Stand tall. Make time for stillness. These acts are not extra, they are essential. They ground you. They reset you. They bring you back to center. Because no matter how chaotic the world gets, you always return to your body. Let it be a place of strength, not suffering. You're not here to live at half capacity. You're not here to be tired all the time. You're not here to watch life pass by because your body can't keep up. You are here to be fully alive, to move freely, to wake up with energy, to walk with confidence, to feel the power in your limbs. That starts with how you treat your body when no one is watching. That starts with the choices you make when it's hard. That's when true care is built, not through extremes, but through consistency. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to be honest. Are your daily choices supporting your body or sabotaging it? Are you helping it or hurting it? The answer is in your actions, and you have the power to change them. Not tomorrow, not next week. Every small act of care sends a message to your soul. I deserve to feel good in this body. I deserve to live strong. I deserve to show up fully. Because when you treat your body right, it rewards you with presence, with energy, with clarity, with stamina. And that's the power you need to build the life you dream of. Start today. Start small. But start with love. Start with care. Start with you. Chapter 10. Listen to your needs and honor them first. Your most powerful act of self-respect is learning to truly listen to yourself and honor your needs above all else. For too long, many people have been trained to ignore their own signals, to push aside discomfort, and to prioritize everyone else's expectations before their own well-being. But here's the raw truth. You cannot serve others, create lasting impact, or live with genuine fulfillment if you don't recognize and respect what your mind, body, and spirit demand from you first. When you fail to listen to yourself, you cut off the very source of your strength and clarity. Listening to your needs isn't selfish. It's necessary. It's the foundation of living authentically. It's how you protect your energy from being drained by endless external demands. It's how you keep your vision sharp and your heart full. Yet, many dismiss their own needs as weak or indulgent, trapped in a mindset that says, I have to be strong for everyone else, or I can't slow down because others depend on me. But strength grows in alignment with your needs, not in opposition to them. The problem is, many of us live on autopilot, tuned to the noise of the world rather than the quiet signals inside us. We fill our days with to-dos, obligations, and distractions, numbing out the subtle voice that's trying to tell us something important. Maybe it's telling you that you're exhausted and need rest. Maybe it's warning you about emotional overwhelm. Maybe it's nudging you toward a change you've been avoiding. These signals are gifts, not annoyances. They are your internal compass guiding you toward balance and truth. To start listening, you have to slow down. It sounds simple, but it's not easy. In a culture that glorifies busyness and toughness, pausing feels like weakness or falling behind. But the strongest people are those who can pause and say, I see what I need. Without that moment of awareness, your efforts are scattered and your progress stalls. Listening to yourself creates space for clear decisions that align with who you really are, not who you feel pressured to be. Honor means acting on what you hear. It means not just noticing that you're tired, but choosing to rest. Not just realizing you feel lonely, but reaching out or setting boundaries to protect your space. Not just sensing frustration, but addressing it instead of stuffing it down. Honoring your needs is the act of valuing yourself enough to prioritize your health, happiness, and peace of mind. It's about treating your inner world with the same care you would a close friend. This isn't about giving in to every whim or avoiding responsibility. It's about discerning what truly sustains you and what simply feeds old patterns of ignoring yourself. Some needs are urgent and essential, like sleep, nutrition, and emotional connection. Others are deeper and subtler, like creative expression, mental clarity, or spiritual connection. When you tune in consistently, you learn to tell the difference and give yourself what you truly require, not just what feels good momentarily. Your needs are signals of life wanting to flow through you, to be expressed and fulfilled. When you shut them down, you create internal pressure that manifests as stress, anxiety, or burnout. You start to feel disconnected from yourself. You lose touch with what makes you whole. But when you honor your needs, you build resilience and fuel your capacity to handle challenges. You recharge your inner resources, and your decisions become more aligned and impactful. Many people fear that putting their needs first will alienate others or appear selfish. The opposite is true. When you show up whole and centered, you give others permission to do the same. You create healthier relationships based on honesty and mutual respect. You stop draining your energy trying to meet impossible standards and start engaging from a place of strength. This changes the dynamic in every area of life, work, family, friendships, and even your relationship with yourself. Listening to your needs also means setting boundaries, which is a crucial skill in honoring yourself. Boundaries are not walls to keep people out. They are fences to protect your garden. They clarify what you can give and what you cannot, what you will accept and what you won't tolerate. Without boundaries, your energy leaks away in every direction, leaving you depleted and resentful. With boundaries, you preserve your power and make space for growth and joy. Sometimes, you have to say no to opportunities or people even if they seem valuable or important. This is not weakness, it's wisdom. It's understanding that your capacity is finite and that every yes to something is a no to something else, often your own well-being. Saying no creates room for what truly matters and prevents you from losing yourself in endless obligations. The journey of listening to your needs is ongoing. Your needs will shift as you grow and your environment changes. What you require today may be different next month or next year. This requires curiosity and self-compassion, not judgment. Sometimes you'll get it wrong or ignore your signals. That's part of being human. The key is to come back to yourself with kindness and recommit to paying attention. Practically, this might look like daily moments of check-in, pausing to ask yourself how you feel physically, emotionally, and mentally. It might mean journaling your thoughts and feelings without censorship. It might mean meditating or simply sitting in silence to hear the whispers beneath the noise. Over time, these practices train you to become fluent in your own language, catching the earliest signs that you need care. When you consistently listen and respond to your needs, you transform how you operate in the world. You stop running on empty and start operating from fullness. You stop reacting and start responding. You gain clarity on your priorities and stop being swept away by distractions or expectations that don't serve you. Your energy stabilizes, your mood lifts, and your focus sharpens. You begin to live with purpose that feels aligned and true. Honoring your needs first also builds your confidence. It teaches you that you can trust yourself. You learn that your voice matters, that your feelings are valid, and that your well-being is essential. This internal trust radiates outward, affecting how you communicate, how you lead, and how you create. When you stand firm in your needs, you stand firm in your truth. It's important to recognize that some needs may feel uncomfortable or scary to face. Maybe you realize you need to leave a toxic situation. Maybe you admit that you need professional help. Maybe you acknowledge that your current lifestyle is unsustainable. Listening to yourself means welcoming these truths, even when they challenge your comfort zone. Growth rarely happens without discomfort, but honoring your needs always leads you closer to freedom. One of the greatest gifts you can give yourself is permission to put your needs first without guilt. Guilt is a sneaky thief that convinces you that caring for yourself means failing others. But this is a lie that keeps you trapped in cycles of exhaustion and resentment. When you honor your needs first, you actually become more present and effective in every role you play. Self-care is not a luxury, it's a necessity. There will be moments when the world demands more than you feel capable of giving. During those times, listening to your needs becomes even more critical. It's not about escaping responsibility, but about sustaining yourself through the storm. Sometimes honoring your needs means asking for help. Sometimes it means slowing down. Sometimes it means saying no more firmly. Every act of care you give yourself builds reserves that fuel your endurance and creativity. The relationship you have with yourself sets the tone for every other relationship you have. When you treat your own needs as important, you teach others how to treat you. You set the standard for respect, kindness, and honesty. You create a foundation where your boundaries are honored, your voice is heard, and your worth is undeniable. This foundation makes it possible to build a life and legacy that reflect your highest values. Ultimately, listening to your needs and honoring them first is a radical act of empowerment. It reclaims your power from distraction, from burnout, and from external pressures. It roots you in your own truth and fuels your growth. When you make this a priority, you align with the rhythm of your life rather than fighting against it. You move from surviving to thriving. You are the guardian of your own well-being. Your needs are signals from your deepest self. Pay attention to them, trust them, act on them. This is how you cultivate a life of balance, strength, and joy. It's how you prove to yourself every day that you matter most. Because you do. And when you honor yourself first, everything else falls into place with greater ease and grace. Chapter 11. Remove toxic people who drain your self-worth. Cutting ties with those who diminish your value is the boldest step you can take to reclaim your life and fuel your growth. Every person you allow close to your heart influences the way you see yourself and the world. Some people build you up, ignite your potential, and inspire your best self to emerge. Others drain your energy, sow doubt, and chip away at your confidence until you begin to question your worth. Toxic relationships, whether with family, friends, colleagues, or partners, can silently sabotage your progress, quietly eroding your self-esteem day by day. Recognizing and removing these destructive influences is not just necessary, it's a form of survival and self-love. We often tolerate toxic people longer than we should because of fear, loyalty, or guilt. Sometimes the ties run deep, tangled in history or obligation, making it hard to see the damage clearly. Other times, toxic people disguise their behavior with charm or manipulation, leaving you confused about whether the pain you feel is valid. But ignoring your gut feelings or excusing harmful behavior only prolongs suffering and stalls your journey toward becoming your strongest self. Your self-worth is not negotiable. It's not something others can take away unless you allow it. Every degrading comment, every dismissive action, every moment where you feel unseen or unheard chips away at that foundation. Toxic people thrive on control and feeding their own insecurities by tearing others down. They mask their need to dominate or manipulate with blame-shifting, criticism, and emotional games. When you accept their behavior as normal, you start to internalize the message that you are less than, that you are not enough. Removing toxic influences requires courage. It means facing the discomfort of confrontation, the fear of loneliness, or the uncertainty of change. But it also means freeing yourself from chains that have held you back for far too long. When you decide to protect your self-worth above all else, you reclaim your power. You send a clear message to yourself and to the world that your dignity cannot be compromised. The first step in this process is awareness. You have to honestly assess which relationships uplift you and which ones drag you down. This takes reflection and honesty. Ask yourself, after interacting with this person, do I feel energized or depleted? Am I accepted for who I am, or am I constantly on edge trying to prove myself? Do I feel safe expressing my truth, or do I fear judgment and rejection? These questions peel back the layers and reveal where toxicity lurks. Once you identify those draining connections, it's time to set boundaries. Boundaries are your shield against negativity. They define what behavior you will accept and what you won't. They teach others how to treat you by setting clear limits. Boundaries can look like limiting contact, refusing to engage in harmful conversations, or simply saying no to demands that compromise your peace. It's about carving out space where your self-worth can flourish. Sometimes, boundaries are not enough. Some relationships are so toxic that distancing or ending them is the only way to preserve your mental and emotional health. This is a painful but necessary choice. Ending a toxic relationship is not an act of cruelty, it is an act of courage and self-respect. It requires you to prioritize your well-being over fear of conflict or guilt. It means choosing yourself when no one else will. Letting go of toxic people can feel like a loss. There might be grief for what the relationship could have been, or hope that things will change. These feelings are natural. Healing takes time. But remember that your peace and self-worth are worth far more than holding on to relationships that cause harm. When you remove toxicity, you create space for genuine connections that celebrate and support your true self. Healing after cutting toxic ties means rebuilding your sense of worth from the ground up. Toxic people often distort your self-image, so recovery involves reaffirming your value daily. Practice self-compassion and remind yourself that you deserve kindness, respect, and love. Surround yourself with those who honor your journey and nurture your growth. Seek friendships and relationships where you feel safe to be vulnerable, and where your strengths are celebrated, not minimized. Removing toxic people also sharpens your instincts. As you reclaim your boundaries and confidence, you become more skilled at recognizing early signs of toxicity in new relationships. You learn to trust your feelings rather than rationalize or excuse harmful behaviors. This self-awareness becomes a powerful tool to protect your self-worth long-term and keep your circle healthy and supportive. The ripple effect of removing toxicity extends beyond your personal life. When you no longer carry the weight of toxic relationships, your energy and focus multiply. You can pursue your goals with greater clarity and motivation because you're not drained by emotional baggage. Your creativity flourishes, your mood stabilizes, and your resilience strengthens. Your self-worth acts as a foundation for every area of your life, empowering you to make decisions that align with your highest good. People who truly value you will respect your decision to protect yourself. If they do not, that is a clear sign they are not meant to be part of your journey. Toxicity does not belong in your life's narrative. It is a distraction from your true potential and a barrier to the life you deserve. The moment you choose yourself over toxic approval, you start a powerful transformation, one rooted in self-love and authenticity. It's important to understand that toxicity is not always blatant. Sometimes it's subtle, woven into patterns of manipulation, passive aggression, or chronic negativity. These quieter forms of toxicity are just as damaging because they slowly erode your confidence and self-trust. They create confusion and self-doubt, making it hard to recognize the harm. Vigilance and honesty with yourself are essential tools for identifying and removing these influences. Self-worth grows when you honor your feelings as valid and important. Toxic people often gaslight or dismiss your emotions, teaching you to ignore your intuition. Breaking free from these influences means reclaiming your right to feel and express your emotions without shame. It means giving yourself permission to prioritize your mental and emotional health over toxic demands or expectations. Sometimes you may face backlash or attempts to pull you back into toxic patterns after you set boundaries or cut ties. This can be challenging and test your resolve. Remember that these reactions stem from the other person's fear of losing control or influence. They do not reflect your value. Standing firm is a testament to your strength and commitment to your self-worth. Each time you reinforce your boundaries, you strengthen your identity and send a message that your well-being is non-negotiable. The journey of removing toxic people also teaches humility and forgiveness, not for their sake, but for yours. Holding onto anger or resentment keeps you tethered to the pain. Forgiving doesn't mean forgetting or allowing harm. It means releasing the hold those negative experiences have on your heart. It frees you to move forward with lightness and peace, unburdened by the past. You deserve relationships that lift you, not those that drag you down. You deserve respect, kindness, and honesty. You deserve to feel safe and seen. Removing toxic people is an act of radical self-love that clears the path for authentic connections and a fulfilling life. It's a commitment to yourself that you will no longer accept less than you deserve. The freedom you gain from cutting toxic ties is profound. You reclaim your time, energy, and emotional space. You create room to grow, to heal, and to thrive. You build a life shaped by your values and nourished by genuine support. This is the foundation of lasting self-worth, a worth that no one can take away because you've anchored it in your own choices and actions. Choosing to remove toxicity requires patience, courage, and persistence. It's a process, not a one-time event. You may need to repeat it with different people or revisit boundaries as you grow. But every step you take strengthens your foundation and affirms your right to live with dignity and joy. Your self-worth is your birthright. Protect it fiercely. The moment you decide to remove those who drain your self-worth, you make space for your true self to shine. You ignite a powerful momentum that propels you forward, breaking free from patterns that no longer serve you. You become the author of your story, writing chapters filled with courage, clarity, and love. This choice is the gateway to a life where your self-worth is honored, celebrated, and unstoppable. Chapter 12. Develop a morning routine that strengthens self-respect. How you start your morning is how you build your entire life. If you want to strengthen your self-respect, begin with what you do when the world is still quiet. The first hour of your day is sacred. It's the hour where no one else's demands matter. No opinions, no comparisons, no noise, just you and your choices. And that's exactly why your morning routine is more than just a set of tasks. It's a daily decision to prove to yourself that you matter. It's a contract you renew every morning between who you were yesterday and who you're becoming today. When you show up for yourself at the start of each day, you make a statement to your own soul. I respect myself enough to take control of my life. Self-respect is not just about what you say or believe, it's about what you do consistently. The discipline to wake up early, the intention to move your body, the commitment to sit in silence or write your thoughts. These small but powerful acts are declarations of inner worth. You're not doing them to impress anyone. You're doing them to align with the person you know you're capable of becoming. A powerful morning routine doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be yours. It doesn't need to look like someone else's schedule or follow a rigid formula. The purpose is not to perform, it's to build inner strength. What you're really doing in the morning is setting the tone for how you'll treat yourself for the rest of the day. Will you rush through it like you don't matter? Or will you slow down and move with intention like someone who values their life? The truth is, the way you begin your day reflects the relationship you have with yourself. When you consistently start your morning with purpose, you silence the inner critic that says you're lazy, unmotivated, or not enough. You override the patterns of delay and avoidance that have kept you stagnant. You replace chaos with clarity. You stop reacting to life and start designing it. That's what self-respect looks like in action. If you're serious about building a life you can be proud of, you have to stop starting your day in survival mode. Rolling out of bed and diving straight into distractions, your phone, your emails, other people's problems, teaches your brain that your life is not your own. But when you begin with a routine that prioritizes your mindset, your movement, and your mission, you regain control. You start strong. You carry that momentum with you into every decision that follows. Waking up early isn't just about time. It's about intention. It's about giving yourself the space to breathe before the world demands your attention. It's about carving out moments to connect with your purpose instead of being pulled in 100 directions. That early hour is where you train your discipline, build your patience, and prove to yourself that you have what it takes. You don't need to be perfect at it. You just need to be consistent enough to grow. Start by keeping your first promise to yourself. Get up when you said you would. That's not just a small task. It's a vote of confidence in yourself. Every time you follow through, you're reinforcing your identity as someone who honors their word. That's how trust builds. And trust in yourself is the foundation of all self-respect. You won't develop that inner strength if you keep negotiating with your goals every morning. Move your body. It doesn't have to be intense or complicated. Go for a walk, stretch, do a short workout. The point is to remind your body that it's alive, strong, and capable. Physical movement anchors you in the present and builds energy that flows into every area of your life. You're not just exercising, you're showing your future self that you're committed to health, power, and progress. Take time to sit in silence, breathe, listen to your thoughts instead of running from them. Get familiar with your inner world. Most people avoid this because silence reveals what's really going on inside. But if you want to respect yourself, you have to face your truth without flinching. You have to become comfortable with discomfort. That's where clarity lives. That's where emotional strength is forged. Write down what matters, not as a chore, but as a way to organize your inner world. Journal your thoughts, your goals, your gratitude. Even just a few lines can shift your mindset. Writing is a tool to sharpen your focus and declutter your mind. When you write, you slow down enough to catch patterns, notice progress, and define your priorities. You're not just writing, you're grounding your identity. Fuel your mind with something that elevates you. Read a few pages of a powerful book. Listen to something motivational. Study a lesson that expands your thinking. This is how you train your brain to seek growth. Feeding your mind with strength first thing in the morning puts you in the driver's seat for the rest of the day. You're not reacting to negativity, you're operating from a place of purpose. Your morning routine should evolve with you. What works today might shift as you grow, and that's a good thing. This is not about creating another box to live in, it's about building structure that sets you free. The goal is to create rituals that align you with your highest standards, not to check off boxes for the sake of productivity. What you do in the morning should reflect who you want to be. When you consistently wake up and act in alignment with your values, something powerful happens. You start to see yourself differently. You stop waiting for confidence to appear. You build it. You stop hoping for motivation to strike. You generate it. You stop relying on external validation. You become your own source of pride. That's how self-respect becomes unshakable. It's not something you talk about, it's something you live. No one is going to build that foundation for you. No one is coming to fix. Your habits will pull you out of bed with purpose. That responsibility belongs to you. And that's a gift. Because the moment you take ownership of your mornings, you take ownership of your life, you stop being a passenger in your own story and start becoming the author. Your life is not shaped by the big decisions alone. It's shaped by the quiet moments when no one is watching, when you decide whether to rise or retreat, to take the first step or to wait. Your morning routine is a reflection of your inner commitment. It's a mirror showing how seriously you take yourself and your future. If your mornings are rushed, distracted, or reactive, the rest of your day will likely mirror that energy. But when your mornings are rooted in discipline, focus, and self-care, everything else starts to fall into place. You make better decisions. You respond instead of react. You lead instead of follow. You grow stronger without needing anyone's permission. Some mornings will be harder than others. Some days you won't feel like doing any of it. That's when it matters most. Self-respect is built on the days you push through resistance and show up anyway. It's easy to act in alignment when you're motivated, but it's powerful to act in alignment when you're tired, doubtful, or uninspired. That's how you earn your own respect. You can start small. You don't need a perfect routine to begin. What matters is the commitment. Decide that your mornings belong to you. Decide that your first thoughts, your first actions, your first breath of the day will be rooted in strength, clarity, and purpose. Decide that you're no longer available for mornings, but weaken your identity or sabotage your goals. When you make that decision and live it out each day, your self-respect grows naturally. You begin to hold yourself to a higher standard, not out of pressure, but out of pride. You recognize your own power. You no longer settle for a life that doesn't reflect the person you're working to become. And every morning becomes a reminder that you're not here to drift, you're here to lead. Your routine will become your compass. It will guide you back to your values when you feel lost. It will ground you when everything feels uncertain. It will remind you that even when the world is chaotic, you are in control of your first hour. And sometimes that's all you need to realign with your vision. Don't underestimate the impact of starting strong. Those early moments compound over weeks, months, years. They create momentum that shapes your identity and your legacy. Respecting yourself starts with how you treat your time, your mind, your body, and your energy, especially when no one's watching. Your morning is not just a routine, it's a declaration, a promise, a path. And every day you follow that path, you reinforce the message that you are worthy of greatness, not someday, but today. Because you've chosen to honor yourself first. And that's how self-respect becomes who you are, not just something you hope for. Chapter 13, choose activities that make you feel truly alive. You weren't born to just get through the day. You were born to feel alive, to burn with purpose, to do things that make your heart beat faster and your spirit stand taller. Most people don't live, they just exist. They move from task to task, checking boxes, numbing themselves with distractions, going to places they don't care about, speaking words they don't mean, and spending time with people who drain their energy. And the scariest part is they think that's normal, but deep down they feel it. The emptiness, the weight, the quiet ache of a life that's lost its color. That ache is your soul whispering to you, wake up. Choose something that makes you feel alive again. It's not always loud. It's not always a crisis. Sometimes it's just a slow drift away from yourself. You stop laughing like you used to. You stop getting excited about the little things. You stop taking risks that stretch your heart. And instead, you settle. You settle for routine. You settle for comfort. You settle for safe, even when it's suffocating. But the truth is, staying safe isn't safe if it's killing your spirit. You don't need more hours in your day. You need more life in your hours. And the only way to do that is to be brutally honest with yourself. What are you doing with your time? Who are you becoming through your daily actions? Are you choosing things that make you feel powerful, passionate, and present? Or are you just repeating habits that keep you numb? Life doesn't give energy to people who are sleepwalking. Life rewards the bold, the intentional, the ones who take the time to ask, what makes me feel fully awake? And then actually choose to do it, even if it's inconvenient, even if it's unfamiliar, even if it scares them. That's where the magic is. That's where you find yourself again, not by thinking about what makes you happy, but by doing it. The activities that make you feel alive aren't just hobbies. They're soul food. They're reminders of who you are underneath all the roles and responsibilities. Whether it's painting, lifting, writing, hiking, building, creating, or helping others, when you find something that makes your inner world come alive, you must protect it with everything you've got. Because in a world that's constantly trying to make you forget your fire, you need to keep it burning. No one else is going to prioritize this for you. People will tell you to be realistic, to focus on what pays the bills, to stick to the path everyone else is on. But you didn't come here to copy someone else's version of life. You came here to feel the pulse of existence in your chest. You came here to stretch, to evolve, to experience the depth of being human. And you can't do that if you ignore the call to come alive. You don't need permission to live with passion. You just need the courage to choose it. And that choice won't always be comfortable. Sometimes it means walking away from things that once made sense. Sometimes it means carving out time in a schedule that already feels full. But when you make space for what fuels you, everything else in your life gets better. Your relationships deepen. Your confidence grows. Your resilience multiplies. Because you're no longer just surviving, you're thriving. One of the most powerful things you can do is listen to what excites you, not what looks good to others, not what's trendy or impressive, but what actually stirs something inside you. That spark is your compass. And when you follow it, even in small ways, you start to remember who you are. You realize that joy isn't a luxury, it's a necessity. It's not something you earn after working hard. It's something that fuels your ability to work hard with purpose. Some people wait their entire lives to feel alive again. They keep putting it off. They say, I'll start after this project, after this season, after this responsibility. And before they know it, years pass. Regret builds, and that spark that once burned brightly, it dims. But you don't have to be one of those people. You can decide right now that your life is too valuable to live it on autopilot. You can decide that today is the day you choose activities that bring your energy back to life. That doesn't mean you quit your responsibilities. It means you stop ignoring your own needs. You integrate your passions into your schedule like your life depends on it, because it does. A fulfilled life is not built by accident. It's built through deliberate action, through conscious choices, through the refusal to let your days be dictated by obligations alone. You don't have to have it all figured out. Just start experimenting. Try new things. Return to old loves. Explore. Say yes to what lights you up and no to what depletes you. Notice what makes time disappear. Notice what makes you smile without effort. These are clues. They point to the activities that align with your essence. And when you align with your essence, you stop fighting life. You start flowing with it. Don't fall into the trap of thinking that everything meaningful has to be productive. Some of the most life-giving activities won't make you money. They won't build your resume, but they'll build your soul. They'll restore your vitality. They'll remind you why you're here. And that kind of aliveness is worth more than any paycheck or accolade. Your life is too short to waste it doing things that deaden your spirit. Yes, you'll have responsibilities. Yes, you'll have commitments. But even within the chaos, you can find ways to recharge your fire. You can schedule time for yourself. You can say no to things that drain you. You can choose to be fully present in the things that nourish you. And in doing so, you reclaim your life from the noise. The truth is, the world needs more people who are fully alive. Not just functioning, not just achieving, but alive. Fully present, fully engaged. Because people who are alive uplift others. They create, they lead, they inspire, they bring color to gray spaces. And that ripple effect changes everything. When you're alive, you stop waiting for weekends. You stop counting down the hours. You stop living for the future and start living right now. You take ownership of your energy. You protect your peace. You stop chasing things that don't matter and start investing in what makes your heart race with possibility. Every time you choose an activity that energizes your spirit, you're sending a powerful message to yourself. I matter. My joy matters. My life is mine. That message rewires your brain. It changes how you see yourself. It gives you the strength to show up in every other area of your life with more clarity, more purpose, and more fire. And don't let anyone tell you that aliveness is selfish. It's the opposite. The more alive you are, the more you have to give. The more present you are with your loved ones, the more in challenges. Aliveness is the fuel that powers everything good in life. So stop waiting for the perfect time. Stop waiting for someone to validate your choices. Stop convincing yourself that your needs can wait. Your time is now. Your energy is sacred, and your life will only expand in direct proportion to how deeply you choose to engage with what makes you come alive. No more living on repeat. No more sacrificing your soul at the altar of comfort. Choose discomfort if it means growth. Choose uncertainty if it leads to freedom. Choose activities that remind you that you are not just here to perform, you are here to live. You get one life, one shot, one chance to feel this fully. Don't waste it doing what makes you feel numb. Don't sell your time for things that leave you empty. Be brave enough to say yes to what lights you up. Be bold enough to design your days around what strengthens you. Because when you do that, you don't just change your schedule, you change your entire life. And that's how you win. Not by grinding your way through meaningless routines. Not by conforming to expectations that suffocate you. But by aligning with what sets your soul on fire. That's the path to freedom. That's the path to purpose. And that's the path that will take you exactly where you were always meant to be. Fully alive, unapologetically you. And finally, at peace with the life you chose to create. Chapter 14, track your growth to see how far you've come. You won't recognize your own strength until you start keeping track of how far you've already climbed. Most people are so busy chasing the next milestone that they forget to look back and see the mountain they've already conquered. They forget the days they thought they wouldn't survive. They forget the battles they've already won silently. And because they forget, they also doubt themselves more than they should. They hesitate. They play small. They believe they haven't done enough. But the truth is, you've come a long way. And you owe it to yourself to see that with your own eyes. Growth doesn't always show up in big, dramatic victories. Sometimes it's quiet. Sometimes it's in the way you respond differently to stress. Sometimes it's in the way you no longer tolerate what you used to. Sometimes it's in the courage to say no, in the discipline to show up when no one's watching, in the strength to keep going when your energy is running low. But if you're not tracking it, you'll miss it. And when you miss it, you start to think you're not growing at all. That's the danger. Progress isn't always loud, but it's always happening when you're showing up, pushing forward, and choosing better, even in small ways. The human mind is quick to forget what it's endured. That's why you must document your growth. Write it down, track it in a journal, record your wins, log your struggles, because one day you'll open those pages and realize just how strong you've become. And in that moment, doubt will vanish. Most people don't track their progress, so they stay stuck in a cycle of self-doubt. They keep working, keep moving, keep doing, but because they never pause to measure the growth, they feel like nothing's changing. That's why burnout hits. That's why motivation fades, because there's no recognition of the quiet victories. And without recognition, there's no reward. But when you track your growth, every step forward becomes fuel. You don't need to compare yourself to anyone. You just need to compare yourself to who you were yesterday. Were you more disciplined today than you were last week? Were you more focused this month than last month? Did you show more patience, more strength, more clarity? Those are the things that matter. Not how far someone else has gone, but how far you've come. Tracking your growth builds evidence, and evidence builds belief. When your goals feel too far and the vision seems blurry, all you need is a reminder that you've already moved through things that once felt impossible. Your past wins are proof that you can do it again. But if you don't record them, your mind will trick you into thinking you haven't done enough. And that lie can slow you down more than any obstacle. Start small. Track the habits you're building. Track your discipline. Track how you feel at the end of each day. Not to judge yourself, but to measure the progress. You'll begin to see patterns. You'll catch yourself evolving. You'll start to notice that you're not the same person who started this journey. You've gained strength. You've developed character. You've sharpened your focus. But you won't truly realize it unless you track it. When life feels like it's moving too fast or you're feeling stuck, your growth tracker becomes your anchor. It reminds you that you've already made it through hard seasons. It reminds you that you've already grown in ways others can't even see. You don't need to announce it. You don't need validation, but you do need to witness it for yourself. Because the more you see your progress, the more power you reclaim. Growth is personal. It's not about trophies or applause. It's about knowing that you're becoming someone you can be proud of. And that knowing comes from awareness. You gain awareness by reflecting, recording, and reviewing. What used to hurt you deeply might not affect you anymore. What used to scare you might not excite you. What used to be a weakness might now be a strength. And that transformation deserves to be seen. Too many people underestimate themselves because they only remember their failures. They carry shame longer than they carry pride. But when you track your growth consistently, you build a personal history of strength. You build a foundation of resilience. And that history becomes your greatest weapon when self-doubt returns. You are evolving every single day, even on the days it doesn't feel like it. Even on the days you struggle to stay consistent. Growth isn't linear, but it is real. And if you only look for perfect progress, you'll miss the truth. Real growth comes with setbacks. It comes with uncertainty. It comes with discomfort. But when you record your steps honestly, you'll see that every season contributed something valuable to who you are becoming. Sometimes you forget how strong you've been. Sometimes you forget that you once dreamed of the things you have now. Tracking your growth brings you back to that gratitude. It grounds you. It opens your eyes to what's working. And it pushes you to keep going, not from a place of fear, but from a place of power. It's not enough to just set goals. You have to check in. You have to assess. You have to ask yourself, am I growing in the direction I truly want? Because growth without direction is movement without meaning. You need to be intentional. And intentionality starts with attention. Pay attention to what's improving. Pay attention to what's shifting inside you. The more you track, the more you'll understand yourself. This isn't about perfection. It's about presence. Being present enough in your journey to recognize that even the smallest victories matter. Even the smallest steps count. And when you start honoring those steps count. And when you start honoring those steps, you build momentum. And momentum is everything. When you build the habit of reflecting on your progress, you develop a deeper level of self-respect. You stop being so hard on yourself. You start treating yourself like someone worth investing in. You begin to see yourself as a person who is always learning, always adjusting, always rising. That identity shift is priceless. Because when you see yourself that way, you stop waiting for motivation. You start creating it. You've overcome things that once kept you awake at night. You've made choices that took courage. You've gotten back up after disappointments. But if you don't take time to acknowledge that, you'll never fully own your power. And owning your power is the foundation of every breakthrough you'll ever experience. The mind forgets pain quickly. That's why it's easy to believe you haven't changed. But when you track your growth, when you have the data, the reflections, the journals, the logs, you gain undeniable evidence that you're transforming. That truth brings confidence. And confidence changes how you approach everything. One of the most valuable gifts you can give yourself is the ability to see your own evolution, not for external applause, but for internal validation. Because when you know who you've become, you stop seeking approval, you stop questioning your worth, you stop needing to prove anything to anyone. Your growth speaks for itself. Think of how many times you've gotten up when it would have been easier to quit. Think of the days you pushed through resistance. Think of the times you said no to comfort because you knew something better was waiting on the other side. Those moments matter. They're proof that you're serious about your life. And that seriousness deserves to be honored, tracked, and remembered. You are not where you used to be, and that's worth celebrating. Not in a loud, boastful way, but in a quiet, unshakable way. In a way that builds self-trust. In a way that says, I'm not done yet, but look at how far I've come. That mindset keeps you grounded. It keeps you focused. It keeps you moving forward without losing faith. This is your journey. No one else can walk it for you. But you can make the path clearer by looking back at the steps you've already taken. You can gain clarity, confidence, and commitment by simply measuring your own growth, not to impress anyone, not to chase perfection, but to honor your effort, your discipline, your transformation. So write it down. Reflect weekly, review monthly, celebrate the wins, learn from the setbacks, and never stop tracking. Because the most powerful person in the room is the one who knows exactly how much they've overcome, how much they've grown, and how much further they can go. That's who you're becoming, and your future is being built by what you're doing right now. Track it, own it, and keep going. Chapter 15, say no to anything that disrespects your values. If you don't protect your values, the world will convince you to live without them. Every day you are faced with choices that either build your character or break it down. And too often, people say yes when they should say no. Not because they agree with what's being asked of them, but because they fear being judged, misunderstood, or left out. They betray their own values to keep the peace. They shrink themselves to be liked. They silence their standards to avoid conflict. But every time you say yes to something that goes against what you stand for, you say no to yourself, and nothing drains your power faster than that. Living with integrity is not about pleasing everyone. It's about standing firm in what matters most to you, especially when it's inconvenient, especially when it's uncomfortable, especially when saying no makes other people question or criticize you. Because when you sacrifice your values to fit into a place you don't belong, you don't just lose your identity, you lose your peace. You cannot build self-respect while tolerating what disrespects your beliefs. You cannot grow into your highest self while constantly lowering your standards. Life will keep testing you. People will push boundaries. Situations will tempt you to compromise. But you must become the kind of person who draws the line and means it. Not out of arrogance, but out of honor. Not because you think you're better, but because you know what you're here to do, and anything that pulls you away from that is a distraction disguised as an opportunity. There is a quiet power in saying no. Not the kind of no that's bitter or defensive, but the kind that comes from deep clarity. A no that protects your time, your energy, and your integrity. A no that says, I refuse to abandon myself for temporary comfort. That kind of discipline separates those who lead their life from those who drift through it. Your values are your compass. They guide your decisions, shape your relationships, and define your future. But if you don't protect them, they become negotiable. And once they're negotiable, you'll find yourself doing things that don't align with who you want to be. That disconnection leads to frustration, confusion, and guilt. You begin to question yourself. You begin to lose confidence. You begin to wonder why nothing feels right. The truth is, it's because you're out of alignment with what matters to you most. You don't need to explain your boundaries to people who are committed to misunderstanding them. You don't need to justify your values to anyone who mocks them. Your job is to live them, honor them, and stand by them, especially when it's hard. Because the more you honor your tract, people, opportunities, and environments that respect it too. Saying no can feel uncomfortable at first, especially if you're used to saying yes to keep everyone happy. But people-pleasing is not a virtue. It's a silent form of self-abandonment. It creates resentment. It creates internal conflict. It makes you question your worth. You don't need to sacrifice your peace to keep others comfortable. You don't betray your truth to avoid being alone. Real peace comes from living in full alignment with your core. When you say yes to something that disrespects your values, you're teaching others how to treat you. You're showing them what you'll tolerate, and over time, that tolerance becomes permission. People will keep crossing the line because you never made one clear. They'll keep making you smaller because you never stood up tall. But the moment you start saying no with conviction, everything begins to shift. The energy you were giving away comes back to you. The peace you were missing starts returning. The respect you were craving finally shows up because you finally gave it to yourself first. Most people aren't struggling because they don't know their values. They're struggling because they keep compromising them. They keep entertaining conversations that drain them. They keep staying in environments that don't match who they're becoming. They keep choosing silence when their soul is screaming for clarity. But your future is shaped by your standards, and your standards are shaped by what you allow. If you want a stronger life, raise what you allow. The truth is, not everything deserves your attention. Not every offer deserves your energy. Not every person deserves a seat at your table. And that's not selfish. That's wisdom. You only get one life, one shot to build something meaningful, one chance to create a reality that reflects who you are. And if you keep saying yes to what disrespects your core, you'll never have space for what honors it. You don't have to be rude. You just have to be real. You don't have to fight. You just have to be firm. Your boundaries don't need to be loud. They just need to be clear. And once they're clear, the people who truly value you will respect them. The ones who don't were never meant to stay. You can't expect to build confidence while betraying your values. Confidence comes from consistency, from doing what aligns with who you are, even when it's tough. From walking away when something feels wrong, even when you don't have a backup plan. From saying no, not because you're afraid, but because you finally believe you deserve better. And you do deserve better. You deserve relationships that support your vision, conversations that lift your spirit, environments that fuel your growth. And none of that happens by accident. It happens when you stop accepting what doesn't match your purpose. It happens when you choose respect over comfort, when you choose truth over approval, when you choose your core over the crowd. This is not about being perfect. It's about being principled. It's about standing up for yourself when it would be easier to blend in. It's about refusing to trade your authenticity for acceptance. It's about remembering that every no you give to the wrong thing is a yes to the life you actually want. You're not here to be liked by everyone. You're here to live a life that reflects what you truly believe in. You're here to move with integrity, to speak with intention, to act with courage. And sometimes that courage will require you to walk away, to leave the room, to cut ties, to start over. Not because you're weak, but because you've finally chosen to stop watering what no longer grows you. The freedom you're looking for isn't found in more yeses. It's found in stronger numbers. It's found in knowing where you stand and refusing to move when the pressure rises. It's found in drawing a line in the sand and saying, I will not cross this line for approval, not for attention, not for fear. You can build a peaceful, powerful, fulfilling life, but only if you stop giving energy to what dishonors your spirit. Only if you stop chasing people who take more than they give. Only if you stop lowering your standards just to feel temporary comfort. You were not created to betray yourself. You were created to live with strength, with discipline, and with purpose. The sooner you start saying no to what disrespects your values, the sooner you start building a life that actually feels like yours. A life that reflects what you believe. A life that supports who you're becoming. A life that you don't have to run away from because it's filled with people and choices that match your soul. You are not selfish for saying no. You are not wrong for walking away. You are not cold for protecting your peace. You are not arrogant for demanding respect. These are acts of self-love, acts of clarity, acts of maturity, and the more you practice them, the stronger you become. This is your reminder to stop letting people, patterns, or promises pull you away from your core. You don't need to convince anyone to respect your values. You just need to live by them, every day, without apology, without explanation, without hesitation. And that life deserves to be protected, honored, and lived in alignment with your deepest truths. Say no without guilt. Say no with strength. Say no because you finally understand that nothing is worth losing your peace, your dignity, or your identity. And when you do that, everything changes. You rise, you lead, you thrive, because now you're no longer at war with yourself. You're finally in full alignment. And in that alignment, you become unstoppable. Chapter 16, commit to growing stronger through every challenge. Every challenge is a test that asks one question: will you rise or will you retreat? Life doesn't hand you strength. It doesn't gift you resilience. It doesn't serve confidence on a silver platter. All of that is earned in the dark, in the hard, in the difficult. When things break down, when your back is against the wall, when nothing makes sense and no one is coming to save you. That's where you find out who you are. That's where strength is built, choice by choice, day by day, moment by moment. You either face it or you fold. You either learn or you repeat. You either grow or you stay stuck in the version of yourself that you already know isn't enough for where you want to go. You don't get to skip the struggle. You don't get to opt out of discomfort. If you want to be strong, if you want to be grounded, if you want to be someone you respect, then you have to commit. Not half-heartedly, not when it's convenient, but fully, relentlessly, without excuse. You have to decide, no matter what comes your way, you will grow from it. You will extract power from pain. You will make discomfort your training ground. You will choose to become more, not shrink into less. That's what commitment really means. Not doing the work when it's easy, but doing it when it's thankless. When no one notices, when nothing's working, when everything inside of you wants to quit, but something stronger inside of you whispers, keep going. Most people don't grow because they avoid the struggle. They make it their enemy. They run from it, numb it, complain about it. But that pain you're avoiding is your potential in disguise. That frustration you feel, it's trying to show you where you're still soft. That setback, it's pointing at the exact muscle you need to build. Everything you go through is either shaping you or breaking you, but that depends on how you show up for it. Growth doesn't ask if you're ready. It shows up when you least expect it. In the moments you'd rather not face. In the conversations you'd rather avoid. In the failures you never planned. You grow stronger by leaning into those moments instead of running away from them. You grow stronger by asking better questions. What is this teaching me? What can I build from this? Who can I become if I don't quit here? You have to commit to the idea that no challenge is wasted. That even your worst days are carving out discipline, patience, and strength. You may not see it in the moment. Growth often looks like chaos when you're inside it. But when you look back, you'll see that every time you stayed in a fight, every time you refused to break, you became someone you never imagined you could be. The problem is, too many people give their power away. They let the challenge define them instead of refining them. They let failure become a label instead of a lesson. They let fear shut the door on their potential. But life will always give you one of two things: a challenge to rise through or an excuse to stay the same. You can't choose both. You can't chase growth and comfort at the same time. You're either evolving or avoiding, and only one of those will get you where you want to go. Strength is built in repetition, in showing up again and again when the results haven't arrived yet, in putting in the work when the motivation has faded, in choosing consistency over excuses. That's where transformation happens. Not in bursts of effort, but in the quiet moments when no one's watching and you still choose discipline. That's when you prove to yourself that you're not the same person who used to fold at pressure. You're someone different now because you've decided to become different. There will be days where you doubt it, days where you wonder if this path is worth it. But let me remind you, your future is shaped by how you respond to those exact days. Will you let them break you, or will you use them to build a deeper foundation? Will you let them define you, or will you use them to rewrite your story? You don't need a perfect plan to grow stronger. You need a decision. A clear choice that no matter what comes your way, you're going to keep moving. You're going to use every mistake as feedback, every delay as a test of your patience, every failure as fuel. Because when you stop resisting the hard stuff and start absorbing the lessons, life changes. You stop feeling like a victim. You stop waiting to be saved. You stop wasting energy on things you can't control. You focus on your response, your choices, your growth, and that's where true power begins. Every strong person you admire was once a beginner, once insecure, once overwhelmed. They didn't start strong, they became strong because they refused to give up. They built their mindset like a muscle, they sharpened the discipline one decision at a time. They faced things most people avoid. They didn't always feel ready, but they showed up anyway. And that's what you must do. Show up when it's ugly. Show up when it's painful. Show up when it's slow. Show up when nothing's working the way you thought it would. Because each time you do, you prove to yourself that you are not someone who gives in to weakness. You are someone who builds strength by choice, not by chance. Stop wishing for easier. Start training to be stronger. Because life will never stop throwing challenges your way. But you can become the kind of person who is never defined by the challenge. You become the kind of person who absorbs it, grows through it, and becomes a better version of yourself because of it. There's nothing more powerful than someone who refuses to fold. Someone who's been through pain and didn't let it make them bitter. Someone who faced setbacks and used them as stepping stones. Someone who sees obstacles as invitations to become more capable. That's who you're becoming every time you commit to growing through your challenge instead of collapsing under it. Don't fall into the trap of thinking your struggles are unique punishments. They're your training ground. They're here to prepare you for what you say you want. Everyone wants a stronger mind, a more focused life, a sharper edge. But few are willing to endure what that takes. Don't just want it, earn it. Build it. Suffer for it if that's what it takes. Because when you do, no one can take it from you. Growth is not just a mindset. It's a way of living. It's a decision to meet adversity head-on, not with fear, but with fire. It's the ability to say, this situation may be hard, but I am harder. This moment may test me, but I won't break. I will adapt, I will learn, I will outlast. Not because it's easy, but because I'm committed. You have to become emotionally tougher, mentally sharper, spiritually grounded. Challenges are going to come. That's not a question. The only question is whether or not you'll be ready for them. Whether you'll face them with the strength you've been building or fold into the patterns you've outgrown. If you want to live a better life, you have to get comfortable being uncomfortable. You have to stop flinching at pressure and start leaning into it. This path isn't for everyone. Most people choose comfort. They choose easy. They choose escape. But you're here because something in you knows there's more. Something in you refuses to settle. Something in you knows that challenges are not setbacks, they're invitations. Invitations to become. Invitations to rise. Invitations to develop a level of strength that no one can give you and that no one can take away. Every challenge is preparing you for the next level of your life. Don't waste it. Don't resent it. Use it. Embrace it. Transform through it. Because in the end, it's not the easy days that make you. It's the ones that nearly broke you but didn't. It's the ones where you kept showing up, kept believing, kept building. Those are the days that define your legacy. So commit. Not casually, not conditionally, but fully. Decide that no matter what stands in your way, you will use it. Decide that you will become stronger, wiser, and more focused because of it. And when it's all said and done, you'll look back and know you didn't just survive your challenges. You became the kind of person who thrives through them. Chapter 17. Surround yourself with people who uplift you. You will never rise if the people around you keep pulling you back down. Look around at your circle. Look closely. Who speaks life into you? Who challenges you to aim higher, think sharper, and grow beyond your limits? And who drains you, doubts you, disrespects your growth, and makes you feel smaller than you are? This matters more than most people realize. You can be the most focused, the most disciplined, the most driven, but if your environment is filled with negativity, gossip, jealousy, or laziness, you will be fighting an uphill battle every single day. No one builds a strong life around weak people. You don't need 100 friends. You need a few powerful allies. People who see your potential even when you can't. People who don't mock your goals or question your ambition. People who get excited when you evolve instead of feeling threatened. The truth is, some people are secretly hoping you stay the same. They're comfortable with your old habits because they validate their own. But growth will demand that you outgrow people who no longer align with who you're becoming. And that's not cruelty, it's clarity. If you want to elevate your life, you need to be around people who push you to be excellent, not just entertained. You need people who will call you out when you're slipping, not encourage your excuses. You need people who remind you of your power when you feel weak. These kinds of relationships are rare, but when you find them, protect them at all costs. They're not just friends, they're fuel. Every conversation is either building you or draining you. Every relationship is either lifting you or limiting you. There is no neutral. So start asking yourself, after I spend time with this person, do I feel more focused? Do I feel more confident? Do I feel more motivated? Or do I leave feeling confused, anxious, resentful, or small? That's your answer. Your energy doesn't lie. Pay attention to it. You're allowed to outgrow people. You're allowed to protect your peace. You're allowed to say no to fake support and surface-level friendships. Your future depends on it, because the people closest to you will either keep you sharp or dull your edge. You can't afford to be casual about this. You can't surround yourself with people who belittle ambition and then wonder why you're not moving forward. That's like planting seeds in concrete and expecting a forest to grow. It doesn't work. Strong minds need strong environments. You need to be around people who are building something real. People who are obsessed with growth. People who are constantly learning, evolving, leveling up. Their energy will inspire you. Their discipline will challenge you. Their mindset will infect you. That's how elevation works. It's contagious. So is mediocrity. So choose wisely. Sometimes the most powerful decision you can make is to create distance from people who no longer fit your path. Not because you hate them, not because you're better, but because your priorities have shifted. You're no longer living to please everyone. You're living to build a life you're proud of. And that requires a different kind of company. That requires people who respect your time, honor your boundaries, and support your vision even when it makes them uncomfortable. You don't need approval from those who don't understand your path. You don't need validation from people who haven't done the work. You don't need to shrink to keep others comfortable. If your growth makes someone insecure, that's not your problem. That's their work to do. Your job is to keep rising, to keep building, to keep surrounding yourself with people who don't flinch at your light but add to it. There's nothing more powerful than a room full of people who believe in each other, people who push each other, people who don't compete, they collaborate, people who celebrate each other's wins like they're their own. That's rare. But when you find that, you found something sacred. That kind of environment will accelerate your growth in ways you can't imagine. You weren't meant to walk alone forever. You were meant to rise with people who understand the cost of greatness, people who've been through the fire and came out sharper, people who know what discipline feels like, who know the loneliness of self-growth. who understand what it takes to keep showing up even when no one's watching. Those are your people. Find them, and if you haven't found them yet, become that person yourself. Lead by example. Your energy will attract what you're aligned with. Stop entertaining relationships that require you to betray your values. Stop giving access to people who don't respect your time or your journey. Stop keeping dead connections alive out of guilt or fear. You owe yourself more than that. You've come too far to keep compromising with mediocrity. People who love you will challenge you. They won't let you stay stuck. They won't feed your delusions. They'll speak the truth, even when it stings. They'll hold you accountable, not because they want control, but because they care. And in a world full of fake support and surface-level approval, that's priceless. You don't need people who always agree with you. You need people who see blind spots you can't. You need people who remind you who you are when you forget, who don't let your emotions run your decisions, who pull you back when you're drifting, who remind you what you said you wanted when you're tempted to settle. That's real friendship. That's real support. And that's what you should build your life around. Be brave enough to release what no longer fits. Be strong enough to walk alone for a while if you have to. It's better to be alone and growing than surrounded and sinking. It's better to have no crowd than the wrong crowd. Because the wrong crowd can kill a dream faster than failure ever could. You become who you spend the most time with. Their habits rub off. Their beliefs become your background noise. Their standards set your ceiling. So ask yourself, do these people reflect where I'm headed or just where I've been? Are they building with me or holding me back? If the answer isn't clear, it's time to make some hard choices. Protect your vision. Not everyone deserves a front row seat in your life. Not everyone should have access to your mind, your energy, your goals. Be selective. Be intentional. Because where you're going, not everyone can come. That's not selfish, it's necessary. It's how you preserve your power. It's how you stay aligned. As you elevate, your circle will change. That's the truth most people don't want to face. Growth reveals who's really for you. Some will cheer, some will disappear. Let them. The right people will find you when you stay true to yourself. When you live with purpose, when you refuse to settle. That's when your tribe shows up, not when you chase them, but when you focus on becoming your best self. Life is too short to keep company with people who make you feel like you're too much, or not enough, or out of place. You were not meant to be watered down. You were meant to be fully expressed. And the right people won't just accept that, they'll encourage it. They'll challenge you to own your greatness, to step into your full potential. And when that happens, everything changes. Your mindset, your results, your future. You're building something real that requires strong foundations. And nothing is more foundational than the people you surround yourself with. Choose people who make you better, who help you heal, who inspire you to keep growing. That's the energy that changes lives. Every day you have a choice to stay connected to the familiar or step closer to the future you're building. Choose wisely. Your growth depends on it. And your future self is counting on you to walk with people who remind you who you're becoming, not who you used to be. Chapter 18, take time alone to reconnect with your truth. The most powerful clarity you'll ever experience comes in silence, when it's just you, your breath, and your truth. In a world that constantly pulls you in 1,000 directions, one of the most courageous things you can do is step away from the noise, the demands, the conversations, the screens, and be alone. Not lonely. Alone. There's a difference. When you are alone by choice, it's not isolation, it's realignment. It's a return to yourself, to the core of who you are beyond what the world wants from you. It's in that space where you remember your values, where you untangle your thoughts, where you hear what your heart has been trying to say beneath all the distractions. Most people are afraid of silence because they don't want to face themselves. But growth begins the moment you stop running from your own presence. When you stop trying to escape with noise and stimulation. When you sit still and say, this is who I am. This is where I am. And this is what I need to face. That level of honesty can be uncomfortable, but it's also where your power begins to return. When you take time alone, you start to hear the thoughts you've been burying. the questions you've been avoiding, the dreams you've been suppressing. It's not always easy, but it's always necessary. Because if you don't know what's going on inside you, you'll keep being controlled by the outside world. You'll react to life instead of living it. You'll follow paths that were never yours and wonder why you feel empty at the finish line. Time alone gives you a mirror. It shows you what's working and what's not. It shows you which habits are serving you and which ones are sabotaging you. It shows you where you've been lying to yourself, where you've been shrinking, where you've been playing roles instead of living truth. This isn't about judgment. This is about liberation, because the more honest you are with yourself, the freer you become. There's nothing more powerful than a person who knows who they are and doesn't need external validation to feel worthy. Take a moment. Step away from the constant input. Turn off the noise. Leave the notifications behind. Find a quiet space where you can just be with your breath. It might feel strange at first, even uncomfortable, but stay there. Listen, feel, reflect. You'll notice things start to surface. Ideas, feelings, truths. That's your inner world trying to reconnect with you. That's your intuition reminding you of what you've been too busy to hear. You don't need permission to slow down. You don't need approval to be still. You don't have to justify your need for solitude. In fact, it's essential, especially if you're serious about growth, especially if you want to live with integrity. Because clarity doesn't come when you're running from task to task, conversation to conversation. It comes when you stop, when you breathe, when you give your mind space to settle and your heart space to speak. Taking time alone is how you regain ownership of your mind. It's how you stop living on autopilot. It's how you start asking better questions. What do I actually want? What do I value? What needs to change? What am I avoiding? These aren't questions you answer in 5 minutes. They require depth, they require honesty, and they require space. That's why solitude isn't a luxury, it's a discipline. One you must develop if you want to stay aligned with your truth in a noisy, chaotic world. The more time you spend alone, the more you'll realize what matters and what doesn't. You'll notice what energizes you and what drains you. You'll see which relationships feed your soul and which ones deplete it. You'll recognize the difference between your voice and the voices of expectation, guilt, fear, and comparison. And once you know the difference, you stop giving power to anything that doesn't serve your path. Reconnecting with your truth doesn't always feel productive in the traditional sense. You're not checking boxes, you're not crossing things off a list, but you're doing something much deeper. You're reconnecting with your foundation. You're making sure your actions line up with your principles. You're reminding yourself of who you said you want to become. That's not wasted time. That's necessary time. You can't lead yourself if you're disconnected from yourself. You can't make powerful decisions if you don't know what you stand for. You can't pursue peace if you never give yourself peace. That's why solitude is sacred. That's why you must protect it. Even if it's just 10 minutes a day, even if it's just a quiet walk with no distractions, even if it's sitting in your room with no music, no noise, just your breath and your thoughts. These small moments of solitude are where you reconnect with the deepest parts of yourself. You'll notice that the more time you spend alone, the less approval you'll seek from others. Because when you're deeply rooted in your truth, you stop needing the world to constantly remind you of your worth. You know it. You've felt it. You've owned it in the silence. And that's a level of strength that can't be taken away. Solitude helps you grow emotionally stronger too. It teaches you to face discomfort instead of running from it. It shows you that you can sit with uncertainty, with fear, with doubt, and still choose to move forward. It builds self-trust, because every time you show up for yourself in stillness, you prove that you don't abandon yourself when things get quiet or hard. You become your own anchor. That's how resilience is built, not by escaping discomfort, but by sitting with it until you understand it. And here's what happens when you commit to regular solitude. Your life begins to reflect your values more clearly. You start saying no to things that don't align. You start showing up with more intention. You start speaking from a place of depth instead of reaction. You begin living with more focus, more peace, more purpose. Because you're no longer just existing, you're grounded in who you are. This doesn't mean you disconnect from the world completely. It means you connect more deeply to yourself, so you can show up in the world with strength and clarity. It means your relationships become healthier because you're no longer bringing your confusion and chaos into them. You're bringing presence. You're bringing awareness. You're bringing someone who knows who they are. You owe it to yourself to unplug, to step back, to reset, because the world is always going to try to speed you up. It's always going to try to distract you, overwhelm you, and push you into survival mode. But you weren't born to survive. You were born to live deeply, truthfully, and freely. And that begins with remembering who you are beneath all the noise. So make solitude a non-negotiable. Build it into your life. Protect it. Respect it. Let it be the space where you drop the mask, release the pressure, and return to yourself. Let it be where you remember that you're not just what you do, you're not just your productivity, you're not just your roles, you're a whole person with thoughts, emotions, values, dreams, and truth that deserves space to breathe. You don't have to have all the answers today, but you do have to be willing to listen. And you can't listen if you never slow down. You can't receive if you're always reaching. You can't evolve if you're always escaping. So give yourself time. Give yourself presence. Give yourself permission to be still long enough to hear the truth you've been running from. Because at the end of the day, everything you're searching for outside of you, clarity, peace, direction, strength, it's already within you. You just have to slow down long enough to remember. And when you do, everything changes. Your energy shifts, your decisions sharpen, your life aligns, not because someone told you who you are, but because you finally listened to the voice inside that always knew. Chapter 19, trust yourself to make the next right move. You are far more capable than your doubt wants you to believe. There's a quiet strength that comes when you decide to trust yourself, not because you figured everything out, but because you know you'll figure it out step by step. Life will never hand you a perfect map. The road ahead will rarely be fully lit. But what you do have is your instinct, your experience, your wisdom, and your willingness to move forward. And those are more than enough to guide you toward your next right move. Too often, we wait for absolute certainty before we act. We stall, hesitate, overthink, hoping to be 100% sure before making a decision. But life doesn't work that way. Growth doesn't wait for your comfort, and progress doesn't show up with a guarantee. The truth is, you will never feel fully ready. The fear won't completely disappear, but you don't need to eliminate fear, you need to choose courage in spite of it. And that courage starts with believing that you are capable of handling whatever comes next. Every successful person you admire didn't get where they are because they knew every step in advance. They trusted themselves in the dark. They made one decision, then the next, and learned from both. They built confidence through action, not overanalysis. They understood that clarity is often the reward for movement, not the requirement for it. You must be willing to move forward even when you don't have all the answers, because the answers you're looking for are often found in the process, not in the planning. There is something deeply powerful about making a decision, not a perfect one, just a real one. When you stop overthinking and start choosing, you reclaim your momentum. You silence the voices of doubt by proving to yourself that you're not paralyzed by fear. And every time you do this, your confidence grows. Not because you did everything right, but because you trusted yourself enough to try. It's okay to feel uncertain. It's okay to question things. But don't let that uncertainty stop you from moving. Don't let your mind convince you that indecision is safety. It's not. Stagnation is its own kind of risk. You grow when you move. You learn when you choose. You build strength through doing. And the only way you get better at trusting yourself is by making decisions and seeing that you can handle the outcomes, good or bad. Self-trust isn't about knowing that everything will work out perfectly. It's about knowing that no matter what happens, you'll figure it out. But that's what separates the people who keep evolving from the ones who stay stuck. It's not intelligence or luck, it's the decision to act without waiting for perfection. It's the willingness to say, I might not know exactly how this will go, but I trust myself to adjust, to learn, and to grow through it. If you keep doubting your ability to make the next move, you'll stay in the same place even when your life is screaming for change. You'll keep repeating the same patterns, avoiding the same fears, and delaying the same goals. But you don't have to live like that. You can choose differently. You can start now. Even a small step, backed by self-belief, can shift your entire trajectory. You are not here to live in hesitation. You are not here to second-guess every instinct. You are here to step forward, to try, to risk, to create, and to evolve. The only way you find your next right move is by making a move. If it works, great, you move again. If it doesn't, great, you learn, adjust, and move again. One of the most important shifts you can make is to stop looking outside of yourself for answers you already carry. It's tempting to outsource your decisions to other people, to ask what they think, to compare their paths, to wait for their approval. But the truth is, no one knows your heart like you do. No one understands your vision like you do. No one can see the full picture of your potential. Only you can feel what's right. Only you can walk your path. And the longer you rely on others to validate your choices, the further you drift from your own voice. That voice inside you, it's not wrong. It might be scared. It might be quiet. It might need practice. But it's real. And the more you listen to it, the louder and clearer it becomes. That's why trusting yourself isn't a one-time decision. It's a daily practice. It's something you choose every time you feel afraid and decide to act anyway. It's something you build every time you fail and decide to try again. It's something you earn every time you make a move that honors your values instead of your fears. You've made it this far for a reason. You've overcome things you thought would break you. You've figured out problems you thought had no solution. You've adapted, survived, and risen through pain, doubt, and adversity. Don't forget that. Don't let your mind minimize what you've already proven. You have evidence. You have experience. You've been through storms and found your way. So trust that you can do it again. You're not looking for a perfect future. You're looking for progress. You're looking for alignment. You're looking for the next honest step. And sometimes that means walking into the unknown with nothing but faith in your ability to figure it out. That's not reckless. That's not irresponsible. That's what growth looks like. It looks like movement. It looks like trying. It looks like learning as you go. Because life rewards the ones who take action, not the ones who wait for the stars to align. You'll never have absolute clarity about every decision. But you can have clarity about your intention. If your intention is growth, if your aim is truth, if your heart is in the right place, then even your mistakes will lead you somewhere meaningful. That's what happens when you lead with integrity. You may not always get it right, but you'll always move closer to your purpose. The moment you start trusting yourself, you stop needing the world to constantly reassure you. You stop begging for signs. You stop living in fear of making the wrong choice. Because you realize that no matter what, you can adjust. You can adapt. You can rebuild. Life isn't about perfection, it's about resilience. And resilience is built through the willingness to make the next move, even when the outcome isn't guaranteed. There will be people who question your decisions. There will be voices that say, "Are you sure?" There will be moments where doubt creeps in. But you don't need everyone to understand your path. You don't need the whole world to agree with you. You just need to be able to look in the mirror and say, "I'm listening to myself. I'm honoring my vision. I'm doing what feels right for me." That's strength. That's leadership. That's self-respect. You weren't made to live small, controlled, or hesitant. You were made to move forward with courage, to make bold decisions, to take risks that reflect who you are becoming, not just who you've been. And yes, that's scary, but it's also how you rise. It's how you discover what's possible. It's how you step into the version of yourself you know you're capable of becoming. You don't need to see the whole staircase to take the next step. You don't need to have a full plan to make progress. You just need to choose. You just need to trust. You just need to act one honest move at a time. That's how you build a life that's real. That's how you become unshakable, not because you avoided all mistakes, but because you trusted yourself enough to keep growing through them. The next right move isn't always the biggest one. Sometimes it's a quiet decision. Sometimes it's setting a boundary. Sometimes it's changing a habit. Sometimes it's walking away from what no longer serves you. Sometimes it's finally committing to what your heart has been whispering for years. Whatever it is, listen, trust, move. You don't need to wait anymore. You don't need more time, more permission, or more certainty. What you need is already inside you. The decision, the courage, the clarity, they're there. You just have to choose to believe in yourself enough to take that next step. And once you do, you'll realize you were never lost. You were just waiting for your own trust to show up and lead you forward. Chapter 20, live each day proving your love to yourself. Every day you wake up is another chance to show the world, and more importantly, to show yourself that you matter. The greatest act of power is not found in how loud you speak or how hard you hustle for approval. It's found in how consistently you choose to honor yourself, even when no one is watching. It's in the way you treat yourself when you fail, how you speak to yourself in moments of silence, and the decisions you make when you're alone with your thoughts. If you want to change your life, prove to yourself every single day that you are worth the energy, time, patience, and discipline it takes to grow. Not once in a while, not only when you feel confident, but every single day. Self-love is not a feeling you wait for. It's not a vague concept reserved for special occasions. It's a practice. It's a commitment. It's a way of living that says, I choose to take care of me, no matter what the world throws at me. That means making hard choices. That means showing up for your goals, even when motivation is gone. That means keeping the promises you make to yourself because you finally understand that your relationship with yourself is the foundation of everything else in your life. You don't love yourself by speaking affirmations once a week. You love yourself by building habits that show your future self that they can trust you. You prove your love by going to bed on time when you said you would. You prove it when you show discipline in moments of temptation. You prove it when you say no to distractions that pull you off course. Every little decision you make either builds or weakens your trust in yourself. And every time you choose discipline over comfort, growth over ease, and truth over avoidance, you're sending yourself a message: I believe in you. I care about you. I'm not going to abandon you again. Too many people walk around waiting for someone else to validate them, to save them, to make them feel enough. But the real power comes the day you stop waiting for someone else to choose you and start choosing yourself. You stop hoping to be understood and start building a life so clear and grounded that your peace doesn't rely on anyone's opinion. And the only way you get there is by proving again and again that you're on your own side. You prove it through your discipline, through your effort, through your standards, through your boundaries, through the way you talk to yourself, through the way you feed yourself, rest, train, work, and show up. These aren't just routines, they are love in action. Because love, real love, is not just about words, it's about what you're willing to do. And when you're willing to fight for yourself, to protect your energy, to remove what disrespects you, and to build what strengthens you, that's love. That's real. That's lasting. Most people are waiting to feel ready to start. But feelings are unreliable. They shift, they fade, they lie. What matters is action. What matters is what you do when you don't feel like it. What matters is whether you show up when no one's clapping, when it's just you, your mind, your habits, and your goals. That's the test. And if you keep failing it, it's not because you're not good enough. It's because you haven't made self-love a daily discipline. You can't build confidence if you keep breaking the promises you make to yourself. Every time you say you'll do something and you don't follow through, you weaken your own belief in you. And every time you keep your word, especially when it's hard, you strengthen your self-respect. That's what confidence is. It's not hype. It's not arrogance. It's the quiet knowing that you can trust yourself because you earned your own respect. And you don't need to be perfect. You just need to be consistent. You just need to care enough about yourself to keep showing up. And some days you'll feel tired. Some days you'll slip. But the goal is not perfection. The goal is progress. The goal is a standard that says, even when I fall, I will rise. Even when I'm tired, I won't give up on me. Even when life hits me hard, I won't treat myself like I'm worthless. That's how you shift. That's how you evolve. Not through grand gestures, but through steady proof. Proof that you will not betray yourself again. Proof that you will protect your energy. Proof that you will not tolerate disrespect, not even from yourself. You stop waiting to feel valuable and start acting like it. You stop talking about growth and start living it. You stop hoping for change and start building it brick by brick, day by day, decision by decision. Self-love is hard. It's not glamorous. It's not always feel good. Sometimes it's lonely. Sometimes it means walking away from people who once felt like home. Sometimes it means letting go of comfort that's been holding you back for years. Sometimes it means confronting truths about your past that you've been avoiding. But that's the price of becoming whole. That's the cost of real self-respect. The world has sold you a watered-down version of self-love. One that says it's about buying things, pampering yourself, or pretending everything is fine. But that's not love. That's distraction. Real love is rooted in truth. And the truth is that you've got work to do. There are parts of you that are still healing, still hiding, still holding back. And until you face them, you'll keep falling into the same cycles. But the good news is you can break them. Not by waiting, not by wishing, but by waking up each day and proving your love through your actions. When you treat yourself like someone who matters, you change everything. Your standards rise. Your vision sharpens. Your circle shifts. You stop chasing and start attracting. You stop begging and start building. You stop doubting and start deciding. And it all begins with one core truth that you are worth fighting for. You're not here to survive. You're here to thrive. You're here to lead yourself. You're here to break the pattern. You're here to build a life that reflects who you truly are. And no one can do that for you. No one can love you into loving yourself. That's your responsibility. And the day you take it seriously is the day your life begins to transform. Every morning, you have a choice to prove your love to yourself, a choice to live aligned, a choice to rise above your excuses, a choice to honor your vision, not just when it's easy, but when it's hard, especially when it's hard, because those are the days that define you. Those are the days that build your character. And those are the days when your love for yourself matters most. You don't need to scream your worth to the world. Just prove it to yourself. Let your habits speak. Let your actions show. Let your effort reflect the respect you carry for your own potential. You don't owe anyone proof, but you do owe yourself the experience of living a life you're proud of. And that pride, it's not ego. It's the result of